Previously in chapters 1821 to 1840, Wang Lin joins the Great Soul Sect as an elder and receives 3 ancestral gifts: a space stone, a divination jade, and a drop of water essence. During the final cycle of refining his water essence, his body becomes withered like a corpse due to extreme dehydration. To complete his water essence true body, he leaves the sect, taking Fan Shanming as a maid, and heads toward the inland sea bordering the Green Devil continent. While crossing the extreme sky prairie, he is ambushed by 3 rogue cultivators but quickly counterattacks using the EC puppet and the Mosquito King. Just as he is about to eliminate the final foe, a powerful mysterious figure, the cultivators and Appo's teacher, intervenes. As these words echoed, the earth rumbled and a giant fist made of earth appeared. It flew toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression remained the same, but there was a flash of coldness in his eyes. As the fist made of earth closed in, he threw a punch. A thunderous bang rumbled. Wang Lin didn't move, but the fist made of earth trembled before it collapsed. A terrified cry came from inside the earth. An earth-yellow figure appeared from the earth. Without hesitating, he took a step and escaped into the ground. From afar, the grass on the earth swayed and hid this person within. At the same time, the third person struggling against the fire with the green light let out a miserable cry and suddenly stopped. The mouth of fire devoured him in an instant. The monstrous fire formed a firestorm, and Wang Lin's essence true body walked out of it. Want to run? There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. He looked at the figure trying to escape in the earth, stepped forward and landed on the ground. I didn't want to kill you, but you're all courting death. Wang Lin let out a cold snort and raised his withered hand. He didn't chase but pressed his hand down on the ground. This caused an aura to erupt from the ground under him, and his dried-up hair drifted upwards. The grass began to rapidly wither and water vapor was rapidly absorbed by Wang Lin's dried hands. This absorption was very fast, and large amounts of green grass around Wang Lin withered. Strands of water vapor flew toward his arms. The grass before Wang Lin withered especially rapidly. If one was above, they would see the shocking scene of the grass before Wang Lin rapidly withering. Strands of water vapor entered Wang Lin's body, and the withering seemed to be chasing the person escaping. The cultivator in the earth felt his heart tremble like crazy. He felt the powerful aura of death chasing him. If that aura touched him, he would die. As he fled, the grass behind him withered even faster. Some of the caves nearby were about to be affected. The escaping cultivator gritted his teeth and rushed toward those caves. Damn it, how can he be so strong? But it is only one person. If he angers everyone, then he will die. The person who had escaped using earth escape was very fast and was charging toward those caves. The grass behind him rapidly withered and almost caught up to him. When he got close to the caves, there was flash of coldness in his eyes when a powerful aura suddenly erupted from one of the caves. Following that, a white-haired old man walked out from one of the caves. The moment he appeared, the aura of an early-stage void turbulent cultivator spread out. The old man didn't hesitate to charge toward the escaping person and wave his hand. Thunderous rumbles echoed and a shockwave spread across the earth, reaching toward the escaping cultivator. This caused the cultivator to pause for a moment, then he was quickly knocked away. Scram! The escaping cultivator coughed out blood and was pushed out from the earth. The moment he was knocked back out, the withered prairie looked like a giant mouth and touched his body. At this instant, the cultivator let out a miserable scream and his body rapidly withered. He lost all water and blood, and as his body died his origin soul flew out. However, black gas surrounded his origin soul, and as he tried to escape the EC puppet caught up. His origin soul was shrouded by black fog as miserable screams echoed and then slowly dissipated. Fellow cultivator, this old man is Zuozhou. The person who provoked you have died, so please dissipate this Dao spell. This is the lowest point in the entire Heavenly Bull continent and can't be lost. Please don't destroy the foundation of all the rogue cultivators in the extreme sky prairie. The white-haired old man appeared in the sky. He looked at Wang Lin in the distance and clasped his hands. After he said those words, the The grass on the earth no longer withered and water vapor flew toward Wang Lin's body. However, this much water, along with the essence from that cultivator, wasn't enough for Wang Lin to complete the 9th cycle. At this moment, he raised the hand from the ground and looked at the old man in the distance. Then he looked at the prairie and pondered. Most of the rogue cultivators here are underground. Strange. The lower part of the continent, or so to say, this is the place closest to the heart of the earth. After pondering a bit, Wang Lin didn't speak but glanced at the old man before leaving. The EC puppet was called back and returned to Wang Lin's side with the Mosquito King. He waved his sleeve and it was put away. As Wang Lin stepped forward, ripples echoed and he merged with the world. He used spatial bending to disappear and leave this prairie. It wasn't until Wang Lin left that the old man relaxed. Shadows came out from the earth and more than a dozen people looked at where Wang Lin went. Left Senior is decisive. This person is not someone we can provoke. His puppet is very strong and his beast is very strange. He himself is also very powerful. Such a person can't be without a sect. Yes, that person's is very decisive and even killed the Black Mountain Dow's 4 people. He is indeed fierce, and based on his appearance, he is clearly a demonic cultivator. The Black Mountain Dow's 4 can only blame themselves. They followed him for many days. They're dead now, so let this matter be over. Fellow cultivators, scatter, the old man said before turning to leave. As for Wang Lin, after he used spatial bending for a second time, he appeared in a mountain range. According to Yen Lu's map, he was 3 months away from the inland sea. The Heavenly Bull continent is too big. Wang Lin summoned the mosquito beast and sat on its back as it flew east. The mosquito beast was very fast. This place was near the Green Devil continent, so there weren't many cultivators around. Only mortal cities occasionally appeared. Wang Lin didn't know much about the Green Devil continent, but Kong Ren had an extreme fear of the Green Devil continent. As if anyone from there was terrifying. 10 days of time went by in a flash. Wang Lin crossed paths with some cultivators, but they didn't interact with each other, just passed by. Even if their divine senses spread out, after seeing Wang Lin's appearance, they hesitated a bit and left. After 10 days, Wang Lin used the 3rd spatial bending and disappeared from this mountain range. The eastern continent was very large, and the sea between the Heavenly Bull continent and the Green Devil continent was called the Pill Sea. Rumor had it that this sea was created by a pill that fell from the sky. However, this rumor was simply too ridiculous. It was impossible to imagine what kind of pill could create a sea like this. No one believed it, but this was passed down as a rumor for generations. The Pill Sea was endless as the waves raged. Although it was an inland sea, the wind and waves were still fierce. Because this was a place that belonged to both the Heavenly Bull continent and the Green Devil continent, the cultivators here were rather chaotic. Dark clouds covered the sky as thunder rumbled and rain fell to merge with the sea. Below the clouds, ripples appeared in the rain. Wang Lin's figure walked out from the ripples and stood above the sea. Looking at the sea below, Wang Lin's dried-up eyes shined brightly. He was only half a cycle away from completing his water essence. He didn't need much, just a sliver. However, the only method he could think of to obtain it in a short period of time was to condense it from the endless sea. Whether he could successfully condense it was still unknown. While pondering, Wang Lin's body slowly sank toward the seafloor. After an unknown amount of time, land appeared below him. There were many colorful corals and seaweed covering the seafloor, as well as countless fish and shrimp swimming nearby. Wang Lin sat down within the seaweed and closed his eyes, placed his hand on his knees, and formed a seal with his hands. The moment his hands formed a seal, the sea water around him trembled. Invisible ripples spread out in all directions. Wang Lin murmured, "Water essence, gather." After he spoke, the endless sea began to surge and thunderous rumbles echoed across the world. Wang Lin's body gave off no aura at this moment, as if he had merged with the Pill Sea. It was impossible to distinguish them, as if he was part of the sea. As the Pill Sea trembled and boiled, it should have attracted the rogue cultivators from both continents. However, a bloodbath was raging inside the sea, so no one paid any attention to the sea raging. The entire sea was surrounded by a layer of restrictions. This restriction was very mysterious, and even Wang Lin hadn't noticed it when he entered. Only when he was absorbing the pill sea did he vaguely notice it. This layer of restrictions allowed one to enter but not leave, thus completely sealing the pill sea. As Wang Lin absorbed the water essence, many miserable screams came from within the sea. Many rogue cultivators from the Heavenly Bull continent were being slaughtered by cultivators surrounded by a green ghostly fire. There was a large amount of cultivators like this in the pill sea. The caves inside the depths of the sea were broken into by the groups of cultivators in green, and they ruthlessly killed the people inside. Anyone who tried to escape would be chased by groups of green-robed cultivators. They wouldn't give up until their target was dead. Due to the fact that the entire pill sea was sealed and there were too many green-robed cultivators, it was difficult to escape. Slaughter loomed within the roar of the pill sea. The smell of blood slowly attracted the fierce beasts inside the pill sea. This was a massacre. This was a slaughter of unequal cultivation levels. The green-robed cultivators were high-level cultivators, and they strictly followed commands as they annihilated all the Heavenly Bull continent cultivators in the pill sea. On the other side of the pill sea, near the Green Devil continent, there were 3 large flags inserted into the sea. There were thousands of cultivators below the flags, and they were all silently looking ahead with a cold gaze. At the center of the thousands of cultivators, there were 3 people not wearing green but white. It was 2 men and 1 woman. They looked fairly young, only about 30 years old. The woman was very beautiful, her head was lowered, and she was looking at a palm-sized compass in her hand. Among the 3, there was a young man whose face was like white jade. He pondered a bit and said, "Senior brother Qian, junior sister Zhao, the slaughter in the pill sea has already lasted 7 days. If we don't speed it up, I fear we can't complete the old ancestors' order." The other young man looked ordinary but would occasionally reveal a poisonous gaze. After hearing what the white jade-faced youth had said, he slowly answered, "At most 4 more days for this slaughter to end and kill all the Heavenly Bull cultivators in the Pill Sea. The Pill Sea is the gateway for my Green Devil continent to enter the Heavenly Bull continent. There are many powerful cultivators here, so it and Oppos. It's difficult to deal with them all quickly. However, it is as senior brother Qian said, 4 more days should be enough." The woman smiled as she moved a strand of her hair behind her ear with her left hand. "Senior brothers, look at the compass of the Pill Sea." As the woman spoke, the compass in her right hand shined and the entire map of the Pill Sea appeared. There were thousands of green dots all over the map of the Pill Sea, and they seemed to be slowly moving. Aside from these green dots, there was also a large amount of white dots. The white dots were like candle fire that could extinguish at any moment. In just these few moments of talking, hundreds of white dots disappeared and were devoured by the green dots. The white lights had different sizes. There were 3 dots far brighter than the others. The 3 strongest cultivators in the Pill Sea are at the mid-stage of Void Turbulent. The ancestors have already sent out Green Devil messengers to deal with them, so we don't need to worry about them," the woman slowly said. Aside from those 3 brightest lights, there were less than 10 lights that were smaller but still far larger than others. They were surrounded by green dots and seemed to be engaged in a fierce battle. Aside from those 3 rogue cultivators, there are 9 more with slightly inferior cultivation levels, at around 7 or 8 arcane turbulence. They are the targets for the 3 of us. As long as we kill them, the rest of the cultivators in the sea will not be a problem. With this item, 4 days should be enough to kill them. The woman smiled and raised her left hand. She waved her jade-like hand and a drop of black liquid appeared in her palm. The black liquid was crystal clear and gave off a strange light. Rich water essence aura came from this drop of liquid. With the treasure from the Poison Devil sect, the 10,000 refined corruption liquid, do you think the cultivators in the Pill Sea stand a chance, senior brothers? The woman looked up at the 2 youths. The youth whose face was like white jade smiled and slowly said, "We can't be careless. Since our 3 sects have joined forces, no accidents can happen, and we can't let the Heavenly Bull continent notice anything. The 3 ancestors have already begun using spells to disrupt people from divinating what will happen. We must slaughter the Heavenly Bull cultivators in the Pill Sea and refine it back into half of a celestial pill. Then we will use the pill to break open the invisible barrier around the Heavenly Bull continent." None of the 3 saw that on compass map in the woman's hand, there was a very ordinary white dot near the Heavenly Bull continent. This very ordinary white dot was where Wang Lin was. Green dots would occasionally pass by, but they didn't notice him at all. Wang Lin was calmly sitting in the depths of the sea, and his body had fused with the sea. He slowly condensed the water that entered his body to form water essence to nourish his body. However, it was very difficult to condense water essence from the sea water. Perhaps if he condensed the whole sea into a drop, he could form water essence, but no matter what, Wang Lin had to try. His divine sense was fusing with the sea, so he noticed the slaughter happening in the Pill Sea. The entire Pill Sea was immersed in the slaughter. Time slowly passed. In a flash, one day went by. During this day, more than a dozen groups of green-robed cultivators flew above Wang Lin, but none of them noticed Wang Lin in the seaweed below them. After this day of time, the giant Pill Sea had sunk 100 feet, as if the water had disappeared into thin air. This slowly attracted the attention of the cultivators, but with all the slaughter, no one paid too much attention. The three people under the three flags that pierced the heavens on the Green Devil continent side were like this. The beautiful woman looked at the compass in her hand and spoke. Northeast 390,000 kilometers away. One set of Green Devil soldiers, go. Dozens of cultivators suddenly moved forward. They entered the water and disappeared without a trace. They couldn't use spatial bending, but the Green Devil continent was well prepared. Not only did the restriction seal the Pill Sea, it could also allow Green Devil continent cultivators to merge into it to move. Southeast 1.98 million kilometers away. 5 sets of Green Devil soldiers, go. After she spoke, over 100 cultivators stepped out and disappeared. Orders came from the woman and she continued to deploy troops based on the compass map in her hand. With the help of the large amount of Green Devil continent cultivators, they wiped out the resisting white dots. Senior Brother Qian, Senior Brother Zhao, it and Appos. Up to you guys. Out of the 9, 4 have died and 5 remain. 2 of them have scattered, so there is nothing to worry about, but 3 of them have gathered together. These 3 people are probably good friends and are good at joint attacks. I ask you 2 senior brothers to kill these 3. On the compass in the woman's hand, there were 3 slightly larger points of light that were moving toward the Heavenly Bull continent. The green dots that got close to them extinguished one after another, representing death. The young man whose face was like white jade smiled and raised his right hand. A fan appeared in his grasp and he knocked the center of his left palm with it as he looked at the young man named Qian before him. Senior Brother Qian, little brother will follow and see the Grand Devil Dao spell of the Devil Dao sect. The cultivator named Qian revealed a poisonous expression, and without a word, he stepped forward into the formation. He disappeared without a trace. The young man whose face was like white jade shook his head with a smile and followed. After the 2 of them left, the woman surrounded by thousands of cultivators frowned and looked at the compass in her hand. She was confused about something. Strange, why did the water in the Pill Sea decrease so much in a day? Her gaze swept by all the white dots, including the one that represented Wang Lin. However, the white that represented Wang Lin was simply too common and didn't attract her attention. She pondered for a bit before burying this matter in her heart. She continued to deploy troops to work with the cultivators of the Green Devil sect to wipe out the few remaining rogue cultivators of the Heavenly Bull continent in the Pill Sea. The slaughter was endless, and Wang Lin ignored all of this as he spent all his effort absorbing the sea water. He was like an endless hole that continued to condense the sea water in an attempt to gather water essence. However, it was simply too difficult to condense this water essence. Even 100 feet of seawater was still not enough. Then let's absorb more. Wang Lin opened his dried-up eye and watched a group of green-robed cultivators fly above him. He frowned. A moment later, Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and closed his eyes to continue absorbing more water. After a day, the water line continued to lower until it had lowered more than 800 feet. Even some of the reefs were now exposed to the surface. Even the many cultivators who were part of the slaughter could no longer ignore this change, but they had no idea what was happening. Where did all the sea water go? Could it be that someone is using a powerful spell? The green-robed cultivators in the Pill Sea couldn't remain calm anymore. At this moment, at the bottom of the sea far away from Wang Lin, there were 3 people running away. 2 of them were obviously seriously injured, but the last person didn't abandon them to escape on their own. White Tiger, leave by yourself. Vermilion Bird and I are seriously injured. Taking us along would just drag you down. I didn't expect to encounter this death calamity after we left the Seven Dao sect and came here to cultivate in peace. Alas, White Tiger, leave by yourself. The three of them were the vermilion bird, the white tiger, and the black tortoise who had come out of the cave world. They had returned many years ago and saw that the Seven Dao sect no longer existed. They chose to leave and then came here to become rogue cultivators. They had already been famous and had their time in the spotlight. However, they were near the end of their lifetimes. They were just tried and wanted to rest. With their cultivation levels, they could have done great things in the Pill Sea, but the three of them chose to live a calm life. However, although the trio wanted to be quiet, the wind wouldn't allow them. Although they wanted to live in peace, now they were running for their lives. The vermilion bird and the black tortoise had been seriously injured. The white tiger was the least injured and was carrying his two lifelong friends as they did their best to escape the Pill Sea. When the words from those two entered his ears, White Tiger's pale face revealed a miserable smile. There is no need for you two to speak. How can I escape alone? We entered the cave world together and now Azure Dragon is dead, but it was understandable. However, didn't we agree to stay here until we die of old age? Didn't we agree to find 3 talented juniors to pass down our Dao? We haven't done these things yet, so how can I live by escaping alone? The white tiger let out a roar as he carried the black tortoise and the vermilion bird while escaping. Behind the three of them, the youth with the white jade-like face slowly chased with a fan in his hand. The youth named Xian revealed a vicious gaze as he let out a cold laugh and chased. The two of them were in no rush. The Pill Sea was sealed, so there was no way for the three of them to escape. Toying with them like this was much more fun for the cultivator named Xian. These 5 people continued their escape and pursuit. However, under the 3 flags, the woman's eyes revealed a strange light as she stared at the compass in her hand. She had a bad feeling. In one day, the sea level has dropped hundreds of feet, several times more than yesterday. There is a problem. She stared at the compass that was covered in green dots. There weren't many white dots left, less than 1,000. The 3 largest lights had disappeared. As for the 9 weaker dots, after the first 4 disappeared, 2 more had disappeared. Only the 3 dots that were together were slowly moving, with 2 eye-catching green dots chasing them. The woman carefully scanned the compass and frowned even harder. There is nothing wrong. How did the water level drop so much in 2 days? There are still 2 days left. Forget it, I'm not waiting until the end. The sudden reduction in the seawater is too strange. I'm going to use the 10,000 refined corruption liquid to sweep the remaining cultivators. The woman felt a sense of unease. After hesitating for a bit, she clenched her teeth and took out the black liquid. She then flicked it toward the sea. The drop of black water immediately flew down and disappeared into the sea. After it disappeared, the sea water before the woman turned black. The ink-like black water rapidly spread at an unimaginable speed. No matter what kind of secret remains inside the Pill Sea, it will die to the 10,000 refined corruption liquid. As for Wang Lin, after 2 days, he had absorbed a large amount of seawater. He condensed it inside his body in an attempt to form a water essence, but none had formed yet. After pondering, he absorbed even faster. Several hours later, more than half of the Pill Sea had turned black. All Heavenly Bull Continent cultivators that were touched by it screamed one by one. Their bodies were corroded by the water, and not even their origin souls could escape. Even the group of green-robed cultivators slowed down in the Black Sea, but they weren't injured. The woman under the flags couldn't see it, but the compass in her hand clearly revealed the changes that were happening. Half of the pill map on her compass had turned black. All the white dots touched by the Black Sea had disappeared as if they were erased. Whoever is causing the problem, I want to see how you will absorb the Pill Sea once it has been defiled, the woman murmured, and there was a cold flash in her eyes as she searched the hundreds of white dots on her compass. She was very concerned about the fact that the sea level was decreasing rapidly. She had to find the reason. The white dot representing Wang Lin was overlooked by the woman once more. However, as her gaze swept past, Hei eyes locked onto the white dot representing Wang Lin and revealed monstrous killing intent. Every white dot represents a non-green devil continent cultivator. All the white dots are slowly moving toward the Heavenly Bull continent to escape, but this white dot has remained motionless. I should have noticed it a long time ago. There was a flash of killing intent in her eyes. Directly north, 97 million kilometers way, send 30 sets of Green Devil soldiers to kill. Before she finished speaking, the white that represented Wang Lin suddenly disappeared. This happened so suddenly that she stopped talking and was startled. As for Wang Lin, he had continued to absorb sea water during these days, but he was still not able to condense any water essence. Shortly after, he began absorbing even faster, making his body tremble. He opened his eyes and they shined brightly. Water essence. I feel the aura of a water essence. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and after hesitating a bit, he revealed a decisive gaze. He stood up and stepped forward. Ripples appeared under his feet as he merged with the world and disappeared. When Wang Lin reappeared, he was above the other half of the pill sea, where the black liquid was. When he appeared, he felt a terrifying force from the black sea water that could corrode all flesh and even origin souls. This is another power of the water essence. Wang Lin's body was currently in the 9th cycle of completing his water essence. He had more resistance to the black sea water than ordinary cultivators. Although this sea water was terrifying, it could not corrode his body right away. More importantly, it contained the water essence Wang Lin needed right now. After he appeared, Wang Lin sat down without hesitation. His hands formed a seal and the 36,000 pores in his body opened to absorb the black sea water into his body. As he rapidly absorbed it, he felt a stinging ping in his body, but at the same time an extremely comfortable feeling came from his heart. His body was being nourished and the 9th cycle was slowly being completed. Far away from Wang Lin on the other side of the Pill Sea, near the Green Devil continent, under the 3 flags, the woman's pupils shrank. She stared at the compass in her grasp and her right hand trembled. The black ink that covered half the Pill Sea was rapidly dissipating on the map. When she saw this, her expression changed and she gasped. Disbelief appeared in her eyes as she looked at the compass in a daze. Soon, she noticed that there was a white dot within the black part of the Pill Sea. This dot wasn't bright, but it was the only white in this half of the Pill Sea. It's that person. The woman's eyes filled with killing intent as she pointed forward with her left hand. 50 set of Green Devil soldiers, kill that person. With that, more than half of the 1,000 cultivators beside the woman stepped forward and disappeared. In the woman's compass, large amounts of green dots appeared around Wang Lin, surrounding him. As for Wang Lin, he was rapidly absorbing the water essence and his body was rapidly recovering. His dried-up hands quickly recovered and his blood began to move as if he had regained his vitality. His body, head, and hair were no longer dry as he continued to absorb the black sea water. The 9th cycle of the water essence began to move once more after Wang Lin injected new power into it by absorbing the black sea water. This speed was very fast and the sea level in this area was rapidly dropping. Wang Lin's water essence's 9th cycle quickly completed. The moment the 9th cycle completed, Wang Lin opened his eyes. His body was no longer withered. It had completely recovered. The moment he recovered, the 8th essence appeared in his body. It was the water essence. The appearance of this water essence caused Wang Lin's cultivation level to suddenly increase. A powerful aura spread out around him. This was the aura of his true cultivation level, late-stage spirit void. At this moment, his aura increased like crazy and broke through. At the moment of breakthrough, his aura continued to increase until it reached the peak of spirit void, and was only one step away from arcane void. At the same time, the inside of Wang Lin's body raged and popping sounds echoed. His eyes revealed a light like that of a water crystal. Water essence, condense in the blood of my body. From now on, my blood will be the water essence. When Wang Lin's water essence was completed, many shadows appeared near him. The moment those shadows appeared, a green light spread out. Wang Lin had long sensed the shadows that had suddenly appeared. He remained calm and his right hand grasped at the sea above. All the black liquid in the sea gathered in a flash and formed a drop of black liquid. This liquid was the 10,000 refined corruption liquid. The shadows appeared one by one, followed by the auras of their powerful cultivation. As they all charged toward Wang Lin, he mercilessly squeezed the drop of black liquid. Water can isolate all auras. It can stop fire from burning, can suffocate life, can turn the world colorless. Wang Lin murmured as he squeezed the drop of black liquid in his hand until it collapsed. Large amounts of ink-like water spread out with Wang Lin as the center. The 1,000 figures that had closed in on Wang Lin were trapped by the black liquid before they could even get close. Miserable cries echoed inside the pill sea. All the green-robed cultivators touched by the black water trembled as their bodies rapidly corroded and their origin souls dissipated. Some seemed to suffocate. Their eyes widened and they died. The water not only cut off air, but also celestial energy and the burning flames of their lives. Some collapsed directly and the blood in their bodies came out of their pores. It crushed their bodies and shattered their origin souls. There were also many that trembled violently as their bodies rapidly withered until they became bone-like corpses. Their origin souls weakened to the point of collapse. Everything happened the moment Wang Lin's right hand formed a seal. He was calm as he slowly walked forward through the corpses. Black liquid came from the corpses and entered Wang Lin's body to fuse with his blood. After walking forward 7 steps, Wang Lin suddenly turned around and looked into the distance. Far away in that direction was the location of the 3 flags where the woman was. The woman's body was trembling and her eyes were filled with fear. All the green dots around Wang Lin had been extinguished. The black that covered half the pill sea had also disappeared, leaving only a white that moved slowly before disappearing. Who is this person? Why did he not show up when we investigated the powerful cultivators here? The woman silently pondered and clenched her teeth. All Green Devil soldiers in the pill sea, listen to my order. Chase after this person and don't let him leave. He took the 10,000's refined corruption liquid. You must kill him to get it back, the woman said before coughing out a mouthful of blood. The blood merged with her words and turned into gas that drilled into the compass. When the blood dissipated, all the green-robed cultivators beside the woman quickly marched forward. At the same time, all of the Green Devil continent cultivators trembled as the woman's voice echoed in their minds. The reason her voice was able to spread so far was not because her cultivation level high, but through the compass in her hand. The compass was no ordinary object. It was the center of the restriction that surrounded the pill sea. Wang Lin remained calm and moved through the pill sea. His pace was not fast, but with every step he moved very far away he was gaining speed. These people have sealed the pill sea. Although I don't know why. Since they only allow others to enter and not leave, it is obvious they don't want the news to leak out. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he raised his right hand. A small person came out of his palm. This little person was a soul Wang Lin had formed through the Soul I Dao. As Wang Lin walked forward, his gaze met the little person's eyes. The little person trembled and kowtowed toward Wang Lin. The moment the head of the little person touched Wang Lin's palm, a rumble echoed in his mind. Just as he was about to divinate the future, a powerful force interrupted it by force. His eyes narrowed and his expression became even more serious. There is someone interfering. Not against me, but all divination spells in this place. Wang Lin closed his palm and the small person inside disappeared. I fear there will be a big mess here, Wang Lin pondered as he stepped forward and ripples echoed under his feet. He disappeared without a trace as he used spatial bending. Less than 10 breaths after he left, almost 1,000 figures appeared here. These figures were all wearing green robes, and after looking around a bit, they disappeared once more. As for Wang Lin, when he got near the Heavenly Bull continent, he walked out of the ripples and frowned. He didn't leave the sea but looked up. His gaze seemed to penetrate the sea. He saw the dark sky above. The restriction here made it so spatial bending can only move within the pill sea and not leave. This restriction is a bit mysterious. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He was not afraid of restrictions. It was difficult for a restriction escape his restriction essence. The more restrictions he encountered, the more beneficial it would be to his restriction essence. If he could absorb and refine a powerful and ancient restriction, his restriction essence would increase greatly. The restriction here can be refined and absorbed into my restriction essence, Wang Lin murmured to himself. When he was at the Soul Scripture Pavilion, he felt like it would not be good to refine the restriction there as an elder of the set. Also, those restrictions weren't that mysterious. They merely contained the will of powerful cultivators. While pondering, Wang Lin was very calm and waved his right hand. Dozens of flames began to burn in the sea to Wang Lin's right. The moment the fire appeared, Miserable screams echoed and more than a dozen cultivators in green appeared. Their bodies were burning from a black fire that not even the sea water could put out. This fire was ethereal fire ignited by their killing intent. Wang Lin rarely used ethereal fire, and this was his first time using it on the immortal astral continent. But it was still extremely powerful when used unexpectedly. Those more than a dozen cultivators weren't even at the third step. They were merely scouts sent to find Wang Lin, and they had no chance of resisting. Wang Lin was about to rush out from the water to observe the restriction covering the Pill Sea. However, his expression changed and turned around and looked into the distance. The three of them are actually here. Wang Lin revealed a smile as he changed directions and stepped forward. Thunderous rumbles rang out deep inside the sea. The white tiger coughed out blood as he carried the black tortoise and the vermilion bird to rapidly escape. The cultivator named Xian licked his lips and revealed a ferocious expression. Your body is pretty strong. It might be a good choice to refine you into a puppet. The three of you have pretty good cultivation. According to my sex investigation, you three moved here only a few decades ago and belong to no sect. How about joining my Wuji sect to avoid death? The youth with the white jade-like face smiled. The white tiger's face was deathly pale. He didn't speak as he escaped like crazy with the black tortoise and the vermilion bird, who were on their last breath. However, no matter how fast he moved, he was unable to create any distance from the two cultivators chasing him. White Tiger, the three of you should not be nameless. Why is our investigation of the three of you three blank for the countless years before you three came to the Pill Sea? The youth with the white jade-like face slowly said as he pointed forward with the fan in his hand. A strand of green gas appeared from the fan and turned into a golden celestial holding a gold sword. It stepped forward and sliced down on the white tiger. The moment the golden sword descended, White Tiger turned around. With a roar, a white tiger shadow appeared and separated from his body to pounce at the golden-armored celestial. A thunderous rumble echoed and the celestial collapsed, but the white tiger also let out a miserable scream before collapsing. White Tiger trembled as he coughed out blood once more and retreated 1,000 feet. This old man is the White Tiger General, one of the 4 great generals of the Seven Tao sect. I won an Oppos. Change my name or my sect. Little child, remember this well. White Tiger didn't look good and he stopped fleeing. He understood that it was unlikely he would escape death in this situation. Since he was going to die, then he was going to go out with a bang. Vermilion Bird General, one of the 4 great generals of the Seven Tao sect. Behind the White Tiger, the Vermilion Bird had blood flowing out of the corner of his mouth as he stared at the youth. Black Tortoise General. The Black Tortoise also understood that the 3 of them would likely die. He let out a sigh and no longer hid his identity. Seven Tao sect? The Heavenly Bull continent has such a sect. The youth with the white jade-like face pondered for a moment but couldn't think of such a sect in their investigation. Seven Tao sect. The cultivator named Xian carefully looked at the 3 of them after hearing this name. I once saw this name in the sect's investigation of the Heavenly Bull continent. It was a sect from a long time ago, and their sect leader was called the Seven-Colored Celestial Sovereign or something. His cultivation was extraordinary, but that was a long time ago. He is likely dead. Hearing the name Seven-Colored Celestial Sovereign, White Tiger and company became silent. They had complicated expressions on their faces. Although the sect master is dead, there is still one more person. If he comes out, he will immediately become famous across the immortal astral continent, the White Tiger suddenly said. The Vermilion Bird and the Black Tortoise looked at each other and nodded. Famous across immortal astral continent? This matter is interesting. Could the person you're talking about be Yuni Feng from the Guei sect? Or the 4 geniuses of the eastern continent? Funny. The youth with the white jade-like face laughed as he charged forward filled with killing intent along with the cultivator named Xian. But as they closed in and White Tiger and company were going to fight to the death, a voice appeared like the chilly wind. It is funny. The voice appeared very suddenly, as if it had merged with the sea and then come out. As the words echoed, the surrounding sea began to move. Wang Lin slowly walked out of the sea. He was very calm and his white robe wasn't stained by the sea at all. His white hair was hanging over his shoulder and wasn't moved by the sea. He looked at the two Green Devil Continent cultivators before White Tiger coldly. Wang Lin. White Tiger was startled. The Vermilion Bird and the Black Tortoise were also dumbfounded. They had never expected to meet Wang Lin here. Wang Lin nodded at the three of them and his gaze swept toward the two cultivators from the Green Devil Continent. The cultivator named Xian was filled with killing intent. He didn't think Wang Lin was a threat as Wang Lin's cultivation level was only peak spirit void. It was not enough to be a threat. He only had to worry about Wang Lin's ability to hide. This person must be good at hiding. Otherwise, he couldn't have appeared here without me noticing. The cultivator named Xian sneered. Not only did he not stop, but he flew even faster toward Wang Lin. Since you all know each other, then all of you should stay. You can accompany each other on the road to the afterlife. In contrast to the cultivator named Qian was the young man with the white jade-like face. When he saw Wang Lin appear, his pupils shrank and he stopped. Instead of charging forward, he rapidly retreated. This person looks ordinary, but there is an invisible sense of blood around him. He has clearly killed many inside the Pill Sea. The youth with the white jade-like face cultivated a method that made him sensitive to blood. The moment Wang Lin appeared, he felt a sense of blood that was strong enough to suffocate him, though no one else could feel it. As he retreated, he raised his right hand and covered his right eye, leaving only his left eye open. His left eye's pupil rotated strangely, and he suddenly saw thousands of resentful souls around Wang Lin. These were all Green Devil Continent cultivators killed by Wang Lin. When he saw this, the youth with the white jade-like face trembled and retreated at full speed without warning his companion. A stark contrast formed between him and the cultivator named Qian as one retreated, while the other charged forward. Courting death. Wang Lin sneered. As the cultivator named Qian closed in, Wang Lin waved his hand and black fog spread out. A roar rang out and the EC puppet appeared. Its scarlet tongue came out of the fog and it revealed a cruel smile as it pounced at the cultivator named Qian. This cultivator's cultivation was extraordinary, but compared to the EC puppet, it was like the difference between heaven and earth. The moment EC appeared, the eyes of the cultivator named Qian widened. He was covered in sweat and a life and death crisis filled his body. At this moment, his body distorted and he changed directions without hesitation to escape. Damn it! How could he have such a powerful puppet? What is his identity? To actually have an early-stage void turbulent puppet. The cultivator named Qian was filled with fear, but his speed could not compare to the EC puppets. As he retreated, the puppet caught up and he was surrounded by black fog. Thunderous rumbles echoed inside the fog along with bursts of blood. As for the youth that had escaped first, he was filled with fear and quickly extended the distance between himself and Wang Lin. He was about to fuse with the restriction and teleport away. Wang Lin remained calm and looked at the Green Devil Continent cultivator that was going to leave. His right hand reached out at the void and this caused currents to appear. The water formed a giant hand that reached toward the youth whose face was like white jade. With a thunderous rumble, the youth opened the fan in his hand. On the front side of the fan, there was a painting of 10,000 horses galloping. The moment his fan opened, the sound of horses suddenly appeared. At the same time, an illusion of 10,000 horses galloping appeared behind him. The sea trembled as the illusory horses charged out and collided with the arm Wang Lin had formed from the sea. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the Pill Sea and a giant vortex appeared. The vortex rotated and caused the sea to rapidly rotate with it. As the thunderous rumbles echoed, the arm dissipated along with the 10,000 horses. As for the youth, he merged with the restriction and disappeared. On the other side of the Pill Sea, near the Green Devil Continent, where the three big flags were, the youth appeared next to the woman holding the compass. The moment he appeared, he coughed out blood. His face was filled with terror and his eyes still held lingering fear. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said, "There was an accident. It is likely that Brother Qian is dead. When did the Heavenly Bull Continent have such a cultivator? His name is Wang Lin. I need to report this to teacher at once." The woman beside him was still staring at the compass in her hand. Her eyes were locked on to the white dip that represented Wang Lin. After a long time there was a flash of killing intent in the woman's eyes and she softly said, "He is inside the formation so he can't escape. and I have already reported this matter to the sect. The 3 ancestors have sent Senior Brother Void Cloud here. Once Senior Brother Void Cloud comes, the army of the 3 sects will also arrive. We just need Senior Brother to refine the Pill Sea into the half-celestial pill and blow up the barrier around the Heavenly Bull continent. Everything will be over then. Senior Brother Void Cloud. The eyes of the youth with the white jade-like face was filled with respect when he heard the name. Void Cloud was very famous in the Green Devil continent and even across the Eastern continent. Void Cloud, one of the 4 geniuses of the Eastern continent. He didn't have a fixed sect, and all 3 major sects of the Green Devil continent were his sections. He could go to any sect and learn their spells. He was the senior brother of all disciples of the Green Devil continent. It is said that Senior Brother Void Cloud went to the northern continent and joined Grand Emperor Wu Feng's sect to learn Tao. Now his cultivation is unfathomable. With him, hear that Wang Lin will without a doubt die. The youth with the white jade-like face was excited. As for Wang Lin, the cultivator named Xian was not EC's match at all. The battle ended with a cry and his body collapsed. EC devoured the body, but the origin soul remained due to Wang Lin's order. Wang Lin began searching the origin soul of the cultivator named Xian before White Tiger and company. After he finished searching, he released the origin soul. The EC puppet's tongue lashed out at the origin soul, but Wang Lin sealed it and put it away first. EC was startled and stared at Wang Lin with a fierce gaze. I still have a use for this person. Wang Lin looked at EC with a calm gaze that contained monstrous killing intent. The EC's roars slowly weakened under Wang Lin's gaze. It lowered its head and no longer roared. When Wang Lin's cultivation level increased, his imprint on EC became more profound. Unless it was pushed to the limit, it wouldn't resist Wang Lin's orders. 3 old friends we hadn't met in many years. I didn't expect to meet you all here. Wang Lin turned around to look at White Tiger and company, who had complicated expressions. He clasped his hands and smiled. White Tiger and company were emotional and felt embarrassed. Wang Lin, since the Green Devil continent has acted, they will move like lightning. At this moment, I fear most Heavenly Bull continent cultivators have been killed. How will we leave? The black tortoise looked at Wang Lin and let out a sigh. The vermilion bird pondered a bit before he said, This is the first time the Green Devil continent has tried to enter the Heavenly Bull continent on a large scale. However, they were stopped by the barrier set by the ancestors of the Great Soul sect and the Guei sect. However, they started by killing all Heavenly Bull rogue cultivators in the Pill Sea, so their objective must be great. The changes here are being masked by the Green Devil continent, so the Great Soul sect and Guei sect don't find out what is happening. As people of the Heavenly Bull continent, we need to leave and send a message to them. White Tiger said in a deep voice. This is not the time to talk, let's leave first. Wang Lin waved his sleeve and many currents appeared. The currents carried them forward. They quickly moved forward and encountered cultivators of the Green Devil continent several times. Each time they met, Wang Lin immediately used ethereal fire to kill them in a flash. However, as they moved forward, less and less Green Devil continent cultivators appeared. In the end, there were none, as if they disappeared. Something isn't right. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. He was already not far from the Heavenly Bull continent. They were near the edge. As they moved forward, the sea floor began to rise and the 4 of them flew out from the sea. The sky was dark, there was no moon tonight. The dark world made the sea a blur. Only the gusts of wind caused waves to surge and rumble. One could faintly smell blood hidden in the waves. Breaking out from the sea, the 4 of them floated into the sky. Aside from the sound of the sea, everything was silent. White Tiger and company also noticed that something was wrong. They looked around and their eyes lit up. They were surrounded by darkness and they could only see a faint outline of the Heavenly Bull continent. The 3 of you protect me. I'm going to see how powerful this restriction is. Wang Lin focused himself. After pondering a bit, he pressed his right hand on the sea below. With this, the sea remained the same, but he left a sliver of his divine sense in the sea. This sliver of divine sense might seem useless now, but in the future it would play a big role. That divine sense had fused with the sea, and it was very difficult to detect. Having done this, Wang Lin's eyes became filled with bloodlines. Soon his eyes looked terrifying. Using his eyes, which contained his restriction essence, he looked at the sky and his expression changed. The dark sky was covered by thin layers of fog. This fog couldn't be seen by the eye. Not even divine sense could see it clearly. Only by using his restriction essence could he clearly see all of this. 1 layer, 3 layers, 7 layers. The fog in the sky was thin but had a full 7 layers. The 7 layers of fog surrounded the entire Pill Sea. It was like a bowl that was flipped upside down and covered the Pill Sea. Above the 7th layer there was a compass. It was an illusion that slowly rotated and gave off a pressure that fused with the 7 layers of fog. This compass is an illusion, not real. Wang Lin looked up and faintly saw that the compass above the 7 layers had a strand of aura that connected to the other side of the Pill Sea. The center of this formation must have turned solid and is over there. Wang Lin pondered as he looked toward the Pill Sea and thought of something. If he wanted his restriction essence to form an essence true body, he would need to absorb a large amount of restrictions. He had never seen the restriction that covered the Pill Sea, and he was tempted to absorb it. However, he soon suppressed this temptation. He waved his right hand and 2 giant eyes appeared behind him. The eyes were filled with bloodlines and seemed to wash away the darkness a bit. The moment the 2 giant eyes filled with bloodlines appeared, Wang Lin sat down and looked up at the sky. His eyes shined as he began to deduce the restriction. He had to break it as fast as possible. When he began to deduce, the 2 giant eyes also gave off the light of deduction. He stared at the sky as he looked for ways of breaking through the 7 layers of fog. More and more bloodlines appeared in Wang Lin's eyes, and the 2 giant eyes behind him were the same. Time slowly passed. In a flash, half an hour passed. White Tiger and company were solemn as he carefully looked around to protect Wang Lin. Whether they can leave would depend if Wang Lin can break this formation. After another half an incense stick of time passed, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he pointed at the sky 3 times. Every time he pointed, a line of blood would fly out from the 2 giant eyes behind him. Outsiders couldn't see it, but from Wang Lin's view, each line flew into the areas in the first layer where the fog was thin. The 3 lines connected together to form a circle. This circle was a small hole in the first layer of fog where there was no fog. Although it was a small hole, it was enough for 1 person to pass through. 7 layers of fog and every layer is moving. It will be difficult to break through this restriction, Wang Lin pondered as he looked at the sky. Both his hands moved and he flicked 9 times at the sky. Each time a red line would fly out. These 9 lines penetrated the hole he had made in the first layer, and 4 went into the second layer. They soon found a similar area where the fog was thin. Then they connected to form a circle. At the same time, the remaining 5 lines penetrated the second layer, and used the same method to form a circle in the third layer. Wang Lin had found a method to break through the first 3 layers. White Tiger and company could not see this, and the 3 of them were very serious. They looked at Wang Lin anxiously. After all, a lot of time had passed. Even now, no cultivator from the Green Devil sect had appeared. It was very strange and it was like the calm before the storm. This gave them a depressing feeling. Wang Lin remained calm and his mind was focused on the 7-layer restrictions. The further he went, the more profound he found the restriction to be. After the first 3 layers, those areas of thin fog were difficult to find. But Wang Lin had the restriction essence, so he wasn't just relying on deduction but also on his essence gaze. In his eyes, all restrictions in the world seemed to stop. After another half a minute and after breaking through the first 3 layers, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he flicked 17 times. 17 bloodlines flew out and penetrated the first 3 layers. In the 4th layer, 6 lines formed a small circle where the fog was thin. The remaining fine lines in the 5th layer and formed a circle. Now a circle to get through the fog had appeared in the first 5 layers. But just at this moment the Pill Sea rumbled. The sound was heaven-shaking, and the sea seemed to be split in half with a line rapidly moving down the middle. This was too sudden. This caused the expressions of White Tiger and company to change greatly. At this moment, Wang Lin's pupils shrank and he didn't hesitate to stand up. The giant eyes behind him disappeared and he waved his sleeves. He took White Tiger and company and charged into the sky. Just as Wang Lin took White Tiger and company into the sky, an indescribably terrifying sword energy came from the thin line that divided the sea in half. What kind of thin line was this? It was clearly a cut from a sword. This sword swing was able to cut the sea in half until it reached the bottom. Its power was shocking. The sea rumbled. The moment the sword shadows appeared from the sea rumbled and was completely split in half. A thunderous rumble echoed, and one could clearly see the dark sea floor below. This sword shadow was hundreds of feet long. It flew out from the sea and charged toward Wang Lin and company. Feeling this sword energy, White Tiger and company's faces turned pale. Vermilion Bird and Black Tortoise were seriously injured, so they coughed out blood and their eyes were filled with fear. This is the sword Tao. To not cultivate the domain of the world and only cultivate the sword. To fuse one's will into the sword. To fuse one's body into the sword. To exterminate all emotions until one even thinks of oneself as a sword. The Green Devil continent actually has such an extreme cultivator. Black Tortoise was very knowledgeable and gasped. The sword shadow was very fast and closed in instantly, but Wang Lin had flown out ahead of time. He took White Tiger and company and charged into the small hole in the first layer of fog. He didn't pause as he went through the second, third, fourth, and fifth layers. Behind him, the sword shadow cut into the restriction, making thunderous rumbles echo. The first 3 layers of fog immediately collapsed. The sword energy contained a powerful will entered the 4th layer. The 4 layers of fog immediately collapsed as well. One sword strike to break 4 layers of restrictions. Even Wang Lin couldn't help but gasp at the power of this sword strike. He was inside the 5th layer of fog and could clearly feel the fog tremble. An overbearing power unique to sword intent cultivators rumbled in Wang Lin's mind. Wang Lin took a deep breath. This will was merely the aftershock, but Wang Lin clearly felt how tyrannical it was. No matter what cultivation level this person is at, he must be someone famous in the Green Devil continent. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he pulled White Tiger and company, who were shocked by the sword strike. His eyes were covered in bloodline as he charged at the 6th layer. The fog in the 6th layer was very dense and there was no gap at all. However, as Wang Lin charged forward, his hands formed seal and restrictions made of bloodlines appeared before him to form a wire mesh. Soon it collided with the fog of the 6th layer. With a thunderous bang, Wang Lin took White Tiger and company to forcibly break open the 6th layer. This humble void cloud came from far away. Why is fellow Taoist in such a hurry to leave? A low voice echoed across the surface of the sea. The sword shadow that penetrated the first 4 layers turned into a cultivator in blue. This cultivator looked like a young man. He was wearing plain clothes without the slightest embellishment. His long hair was draped over his shoulders and gave him an elegant look. He was very beautiful but was very cold, and he had a 7-foot sword in his hand. In this dark sky, there seemed to be a chill flowing through, and the sword gave off a cold glint. What came was not Void Cloud's original body but an avatar formed by his sword intent. Although it was an avatar, it contained 60% of his sword intent. As he spoke, he looked up and stepped toward the 5th layer. He raised his right hand and the sword in his hand swept across the sky. With this sweep, a crescent moon sword energy flew into the sky. The 5th layer of fog suddenly collapsed. This allowed Void Cloud to see the white-haired Wang Lin, who looked coldly back at him. Their gazes met at this moment, and Wang Lin's mind rumbled. He carried White Tiger and company into the 6th layer and charged toward the 7th layer. His face was pale and his expression was serious. As for Void Cloud, his mind also rumbled as he looked at the sky with a strange gaze. I thought that apart from those old fellows, only Unifeng could arouse my interest in the Heavenly Bull continent. I didn't expect to meet another today. The coldness in his eyes. He is also a ruthless person. Void Cloud smiled as he held the sword and stepped into the sky. Wang Lin charged into the 6th layer. Only the 7th layer was left before he could leave the Pill Sea with White Tiger and company. However, Wang Lin didn't have time to choose. The 7th layer was the most dense, and he couldn't find gap in a short period of time. In addition, with the cultivator named Void Cloud below him, he didn't have much time. Wang Lin's eyes flashed as he flew through the 6th layer. The sword energy seemed like it was going to break through when the bloodlines appeared in his eyes and the 2 bloodshot eyes appeared behind him. Restriction essence. Use the essence to enter the restriction. As Wang Lin roared, the 2 giant eyes behind him suddenly collapsed. The countless bloodlines inside flew out around Wang Lin to form a meteor that smashed toward the 7th layer. The moment Wang Lin charged out, the 6th layer of fog below him collapsed. The sword energy charged out, and the powerful sword intent felt like it could destroy everything. "Fellow cultivator, stay." Void Cloud's voice echoed as the sword shadow broke the 6th layer. It quickly reformed into a heaven-splitting sword shadow and flew toward Wang Lin. If Wang Lin was stopped by the sword energy, he wouldn't be able to leave the 7th floor. Although it was a moment of crisis, Wang Lin had faced these numerous enemies. The more dangerous it was, the more calm he would become. The moment the sword energy closed in, he turned around and raised his right hand. His essence true body appeared and his palm pointed at the sky. The fog in the 7th layer rumbled and a giant palm appeared. War Spirit print. It wasn't just one. Wang Lin's fire essence true body also raised its hand. Inside the fog, All-Mother Burning Palm print appeared. The two prints smashed down on the sword energy one after the other. At the same time, below Wang Lin and Void Cloud, in the sea that was split in half, the divine sense Wang Lin had left in the sea felt Wang Lin's command. The sea surged and a giant palm print made of sea water suddenly rose up. When the palm print appeared, the sea level decreased greatly, as if the water had been condensed by the palm print to fly into the sky. 3 palm prints, 2 above and 1 below, all flew toward Void Cloud in that ray of sword energy. Wang Lin's own palm print closed in first and collided with the sword energy. Burst of crackling sounds echoed as the palm print collapsed. At the same time, the palm print from the fire essence true body descended. Just at this moment, the water essence palm formed by the sea water flew into the sky toward Void Cloud and his sword energy. This was a fusion of water and fire, a combined attack of the fire and water palms. As the fire and water palm prints closed in, the water gave off fog as if it was going to dry up. At the same time, the fire palm print looked like it was going to extinguish from being covered in water vapor. However, both the fire and water essences came from Wang Lin's body, so not only did they not disappear, but they grew even stronger. Not even Wang Lin had expected that using both the water and fire essences at the same time would have such an effect. The palm formed by the seawater began to boil, and large amounts of water vapor spread out. It made the fire palm print look hazy, but the fire seemed even more intense. At this moment, even Void Cloud's expression became serious. He swung his sword and the fire palm print collided with the sword energy. At the same time, the water palm print closed in from below. A violent rumble echoed as the water and fire palm prints collided, with Void Cloud and his sword energy at the center. The water and fire essences fused and formed a force stronger than just a single essence. This force was gas. Gas was an extremely difficult essence to obtain. More accurately, it was impossible to obtain. A person would have to master both water and fire essences and combine them to form the gas essence. This essence was far more precious than a single essence. The moment the gas essence appeared, the water and fire palms immediately collapsed, but Void Cloud's sword energy collapsed for the first time. A powerful shockwave spread out in all directions. Wang Lin retreated and borrowed the force to move toward the 7th layer with White Tiger and company. Void Cloud's body trembled and he retreated several steps as the water and fire palm collapsed. A roar rang out and the EC puppet was released by Wang Lin. It charged at Void Cloud. EC had appeared too suddenly, as if it had been waiting for this moment. It was very fast and instantly closed in. Its black hand reached toward Void Cloud. The timing was very good, and its killing intent closed in. Void Cloud's expression changed and he bit the tip of his tongue to spit out blood. That blood instantly turned into a blood-colored ray of sword energy that sliced down on EC. All of this happened too fast. In a flash, the sword energy landed on EC and cut off its right arm. EC let out a cry and suddenly retreated. However, the right arm that was cut off turned into 5 strands of black gas and rushed into Void Cloud's body. Void Cloud let out a muffled groan and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Those 5 strands of black gas contained powerful killing intent and began causing destruction inside his body. They were very difficult to remove, because they also contained ancient Tao power. Fellow cultivator Void Cloud, there is no need to send me off anymore. We will meet in the future. In the sky, Wang Lin's voice echoed. Void Cloud looked up to see the EC puppet that had lost its right arm turn into black fog. It was then collected by Wang Lin. Then Wang Lin carried White Tiger and company into the 7th layer and disappeared without a trace. Only after Wang Lin had been gone for a while did Void Cloud smile, except his smile was extremely gloomy. Entering the Heavenly Bull continent should be very interesting. Next time I won't let you escape. For a powerful cultivator like you, you should become my sword furnace. Void Cloud's eyes lit up and he stepped away. His face was slightly pale. He had been injured in that battle. However, now was not the time to heal, as he still had to complete the order from those old ancestors to refine the Pill Sea back into that half-celestial pill. Right now in the Pill Sea, not a single Heavenly Bull continent remained. All of them were dead. The entire Pill Sea had become the domain of the Green Devil continent. Outside the Pill Sea, over the Heavenly Bull continent, Wang Lin flew out tens of thousands of kilometers. Blood was flowing out from the corner of his mouth as he turned around and looked at the restriction around the Pill Sea with a vicious gaze. White Tiger, the 3 of you leave. I still have other matters to attend to, so I won't leave with you. This place is far from the Great Soul Sect but close to the Guei sect. If you guys want to report it to them, then you need to hurry. As for the Great Soul Sect, I'll notify them. Wang Lin looked at the Pill Sea and his eyes revealed a cold gaze. He waved his right hand and a jade appeared in his hand. This was a message jade from the Great Soul Sect. After leaving the message, Wang Lin waved his hand and the jade quickly disappeared. Due to the structure of message jades, they were several times faster than cultivators, but Wang Lin didn't know exactly when the Great Soul Sect would receive it. After seeing the message jade, White Tiger and company recognized that it was something the Great Soul Sect used internally. They looked at Wang Lin as if they wanted to speak, but they stopped themselves. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze from the Pill Sea. He noticed their expressions and slowly said, I have joined the Great Soul Sect and became an elder. Take care. White Tiger and company clasped their hands. They didn't say their thanks, but whether it was this matter or what happened in the cave world, they remembered it in their hearts. You guys also take care. Wang Lin revealed a sincere smile. He clasped his hands at them and took a look at the vermilion bird. The vermilion bird let out a sigh as if he wanted to say something, but in the end he didn't say anything. The 3 of them quickly flew toward the Guei sect. After the 3 of them disappeared from the horizon, Wang Lin turned around toward the Pill Sea and killing intent appeared in his eyes. Since arriving the immortal astral continent, I have never suffered such a big loss. Void Cloud, if I don't take advantage of the fact that you're injured to kill you, I won't be able to bear it. EC's screams were still echoing in Wang Lin's heart, and his heart was aching. That Void Cloud's cultivation was very strange. His cultivation level was not high. Aside from the shocking sword energy, Wang Lin had already wiped out Yin Lu's divine sense from the 2 treasures he had won from her. The gourd with the 30 million Dao souls could release an extremely powerful attack, even if there was only one chance. Now that he had made up his mind, he charged toward the Pill Sea. His behavior seemed reckless, but he was confident that Void Cloud wouldn't expect him to return after spending so much effort to leave. This was what made Wang Lin so determined. If I want to kill Void Cloud, I must obtain the compass that controls the formation. This was the first person Wang Lin wanted to kill since he arrived at the immortal astral continent. Wang Lin moved forward and appeared above the Pill Sea. Below him was the invisible restriction. With the restriction there, he wasn't worried about being found by the cultivators inside the restriction. But Wang Lin was still very cautious and hid his aura. He moved like a ghost as he flew toward the other side of the Pill Sea. With a few steps, Wang Lin merged with the world and disappeared. When he reappeared, he was in the sky near the Green Devil continent. Here, even the sky had a large amount of Green Devil continent cultivators. These cultivators all had varying cultivation levels. Most of them were at the 2nd step while a few were 3rd step cultivators. There weren't many of them, but they still could be seen every now and then. When they passed, their divine senses swept the area as if they were guarding against something. As more and more Green Devil continent cultivators appeared, Arcane Void cultivators appeared, causing Wang Lin to move even slower. After pondering a bit, he dove down into the invisible restriction below. His eyes were filled with blood lines as he immersed himself in the fog. Wang Lin had the restriction essence. At this moment, he could copy the restriction around the Pill Sea with his restriction essence, so he was confident he wouldn't be noticed in a short period of time. After entering the 7th layer of the fog, Wang Lin carefully moved within the fog to find the compass that was the center of this restriction. As he got closer to the Green Devil continent, more and more Green Devil continent cultivators flew by above him. These cultivators were often in groups of dozens. They often had serious expressions as they flew by. There are at least tens of thousands of cultivators here. With so many cultivators, if they say they aren't invading the Heavenly Bull continent, no one would believe them. Wang Lin turned into fog. Then he looked up at the Green Devil continent cultivators above him and sighed. The slaughter between sex and cruelty between the continents was the same everywhere. It was like this in the cave world, and the immortal astral continent was the same. There were no laws in this world. The ones that existed were there because powerful cultivators existed to suppress everyone, so they didn't dare to have other thoughts. While silently pondering, Wang Lin's eyes narrowed and he looked up. He felt a powerful fluctuation from the distance. This didn't come from a cultivator but a treasure. When he looked over, 100 Green Devil continent cultivators flew by. There were 4 arcane void cultivators, with 1 in each side, acting like escorts. In the center of this team there was a giant drum about 1,000 feet large. This drum was completely black and even its surface was black. A large amount of fierce beasts were sticking out from its sides and a gloomy aura spread out. There were countless resentful souls around the drum. They let out silent roars that formed invisible ripples that spread out. This drum seemed to be very heavy. There were nearly 100 cultivators using their full cultivation to carry it, but they were flying forward slowly. The moment Wang Lin saw the large drum, his eyes narrowed. He turned into gas and remained motionless. He clearly felt a cultivator hiding inside the big drum. This cultivator seemed to fuse with Wang Lin, and when it passed above Wang Lin, a divine sense spread out from it. After scanning the area, it slowly left. After the 100 cultivators left, Wang Lin looked at the vague outline of the drum and began to ponder. A treasure that is fused with a cultivator. After this, Wang Lin saw 8 of the same drum. He also saw other large treasures that were obviously used for large-scale slaughter between sects. These treasures were all nearly 1,000 feet large. Shocking auras spread out from them, forming a pressure. I can't stay here for long. I must finish the battle as soon as possible and leave. Wang Lin's heart pounded, but this just made him more calm. He fused with the restriction and slowly moved closer to the Green Devil continent. Here, he felt the presence of the center of the restriction. It's just ahead. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he moved through the fog. Soon he saw 3 flags that pierced in the sky. These 3 flags moved with the wind and flapped in the air. Ripples echoed from them. They were clearly extraordinary. Under the 3 flags, there were a beautiful-looking woman. She was holding a compass in her hand and was currently frowning as she looked at it. Next the woman, Wang Lin saw someone he had met before. It was the young man with the white jade-like face. He was holding a fan in his hand and was looking down at the sea. It was unknown what he was thinking about. There were hundreds of green-robed cultivators around them. They were like guards and remained motionless as they cultivated with their eyes closed. Including the woman. No one knew that Wang Lin was in the 7th layer of the invisible restriction above them. Wang Lin coldly looked at them and especially at the compass in the woman's hand. That's the compass. Once I obtain it, I won't need to hide inside the fog layer. It is the only thing that can know I entered the pill sea. Wang Lin had the restriction essence and had studied this restriction for a bit, so he knew that the key to this restriction was that compass. Only with the compass in hand would no one know he had entered the pill sea. Then he could find Void Cloud, kill him and escape safely. The compass was also the key to finding Void Cloud. It was very difficult to find a single person in this vast pill sea, and he could only rely on the compass. However, this was a difficult situation. If he wanted to obtain the compass, he would still have to come out, then the people below would know he had arrived. Everything must be fast. I can't allow one of them to leave and I can't allow that woman to send the information out. Wang Lin frowned as he looked at the 100 cultivators below and the 3 large flags. Those 3 flags should be a protective device. It's going to be a bit difficult. Wang Lin remained motionless in the mist as he looked below and began to ponder. Under the 3 big flags, the woman looked at the compass in her hand and frowned even harder. Strange, it is clear that there are no foreign cultivators left, but there are still layers of ripples appearing. It is clearly something the restriction is doing on its own when it detects something abnormal. The compass in the woman's hand was filled with green dots and was without a single white dot, but there was a constant wave of fluctuation like ripples on the water's surface. The woman's eyes lit up. Her left hand continued to form seals that landed on the compass, but she still found nothing. Her actions caught the attention of the young man with the fan next to her. He stepped forward to look at the compass and smiled. "Don't be so paranoid. With Senior Brother Void Cloud here, everything will be fine." The woman silently pondered for a moment and nodded. Senior Brother Void Cloud has already acted, and soon the pill sea will disappear. Then we can see the power of the legendary half-celestial pill. The woman looked up into the distance. Wang Lin was inside the fog in the sky and vaguely heard what they were talking about. He also noticed some clues from their expressions, and his heart skipped a beat. However, just at this moment, a thunderous rumble came from the pill sea, and it began to surge violently. The waves began to rage across the sea. 9 vortexes appeared at different points across the pill sea. The vortexes were rotating slowly, but a heaven-shattering roar echoed. "Senior Brother has begun." The woman stopped looking at the compass in her hand and looked into the distance with expectation in her eyes. At the same time, a group of about a dozen cultivators flew out from the sea and flew toward where the woman was. This was a group of Green Devil soldiers that had followed the woman's order and were returning. These more than a dozen Green Devil soldiers quickly flew across the sky. They didn't attract the attention of the woman or the cultivators around her. It was clear that this kind of movement was very common. No one noticed that there was a flash of ghostly light in Wang Lin's eyes as he hid in the restriction fog in the sky. He turned into a strand of smoke. The moment the group of Green Devil Continent cultivators flew by, he rushed out and entered the ear of one of the cultivators. The moment he entered, the cultivator paused for a moment and his eyes revealed a glint of confusion. However, that confusion was soon replaced with calmness, and he quickly closed in on the 3 flags and the woman below. However, the moment Wang Lin charged out from fog and entered the ear of the cultivator, the compass in the woman's hand trembled a bit as if it was giving a warning. The woman immediately looked down, but by the time she looked down, everything was over. The young man next to the woman noticed the change in her expression and quickly asked, "What's the matter?" "Something is wrong." The compass trembled by itself as a warning. It should be because a non-Green Devil Continent cultivator has entered the pill sea. The woman's expression was very serious. "This person is good at hiding and I can't find him right away. Senior Brother Zhao, help me. I'm going to reverse the compass to see what happened at that moment." The young man with the white jade-like face raised his right hand and placed it on the woman's back without hesitation. The woman took a deep breath and her eyes revealed a strange light. She stared at the compass in her hand and, using the method her teacher had taught her, her left formed a seal and pointed at the compass. She didn't notice the more than a dozen Green Devil Continent cultivators that she had sent out and were returning. They got closer and closer to her. A hidden gaze of killing intent loomed within these dozen cultivators. The compass in the woman's hand began to blur as she continued to place seals on it. It was about to reverse time and reveal the scene of Wang Lin turning into smoke and taking over one of the green-robed cultivators. At this moment, the group of cultivators Wang Lin was in was still 10,000 feet from the woman. The cultivator Wang Lin was in stepped forward and moved past several cultivators. As they looked at him in shock, he arrived behind the cultivator at the front of the group. The cultivator at the front was a middle-aged man at the 3rd step, around Nirvana Void. He seemed to notice something and turned around. The eyes of the cultivator Wang Lin was controlling revealed a strange light, and a strange of smoke came out of his forehead and entered the eyes of the middle-aged man. All of this happened very quickly. When it happened, the middle-aged man's body trembled and revealed a hint of struggle. However, the struggle soon dissipated and was replaced with calmness. The woman staring at the compass also trembled. The compass in her hand began to tremble violently. Just as it was about to reveal what had happened, the middle-aged man Wang Lin had taken over charge toward the woman that was 10,000 feet away. "I found a drop of black liquid and I don't know what it is," the middle-aged man said in a hoarse voice before flying more than 1,000 feet. When the cultivators that were sitting there opened their eyes, The middle-aged man took out a drop of black liquid and it flew forward. The moment the drop of black liquid appeared, a powerful surge of water essence appeared. The moment the woman heard the middle-aged man's voice, she looked up and saw the drop of black liquid. Her pupils suddenly shrank. 10,000 refined corruption liquid. The woman's eyes were filled with shock. Borrowing the moment of shock, the middle-aged man controlled by Wang Lin flew several thousand more feet. He was now only a few thousand feet from the woman. However, just as he got within 1,000 feet, the three flags caused ripples to echo and let out a loud whistling sound. At the same time, the compass in the woman's hand clearly showed the scene of Wang Lin turning into fog and entering the ear of the middle-aged man. "Stop!" The woman's heart trembled and she let out a scream. She was about to retreat, and the young man with the white jade-like face was also filled with fear. Essence scatter. The moment the woman screamed, the middle-aged man controlled by Wang Lin let out a roar. His body collapsed and a strand of smoke came out and turned into Wang Lin. The moment Wang Lin appeared, the black liquid he had flicked at the woman exploded. The black ink-like liquid quickly spread, and everything within 10,000 feet became black. The hundreds of cultivators had just realized what happened when they let out miserable screams. Their bodies rapidly decayed and instantly turned into black liquid. Even the more than a dozen green-robed cultivators behind Wang Lin couldn't escape from the black ink in time and all died. At the same time, a roar came from behind Wang Lin. The EC puppet that had lost its right arm charged out toward the three flags. There was a loud bang as EC broke one of the flags and charged toward the remaining two. All of this happened the moment the woman said, "Stop." Wang Lin stepped forward and closed in 1,000 feet in an instant as the woman and the young man retreated. The young man recognized Wang Lin and was terrified. The woman pressed her left hand on the compass and was about to report it to the others. Wang Lin suddenly raised his right hand and pointed at the two of them. "Stop!" With one word, countless threads filled the world and wrapped around the woman and the young man. Their bodies trembled and were completely stopped by Wang Lin. The young man's fear was solidified and the woman's left hand was less than an inch from the compass but was frozen in the air. Wang Lin closed in instantly and took the compass from the woman. There was no mercy in his heart as his left palm landed on the woman's forehead. The woman's body turned into a mist of blood, and even her origin soul collapsed with it. Wang Lin waved his sleeve and a gust of wind blew the blood mist toward the young man. As the blood mist shrouded the young man, Wang Lin swung his hand and there was a flash of blood light. The blood sword followed and cut off the young man's head. It was also at this moment that a thunderous rumble echoed and the second and third flags were broken by EC's left arm. All the black ink within 10,000 feet shrank like crazy back into a drop of black liquid before Wang Lin, and he swallowed it back into his body. Everything ended. Hundreds of cultivators were dead. The woman and the young man named Zhao were dead as well. Even the three large flags were destroyed. Wang Lin's face was slightly pale. He wanted everything to finish quickly. He put away EC and disappeared into the sea. Inside the sea, Wang Lin quickly charged forward. He held the compass and his divine sense rushed inside. His eyes were filled with blood lines as his restriction essence rushed in. He wiped the divine sense off the compass, making it his own. If it was someone else, they wouldn't have been able to do this, but Wang Lin had the restriction essence so he could do it. With the compass in hand, he controlled the restriction above the pill sea. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he carefully swam through the pill sea and carefully looked at the compass. He could see that inside the pill sea, there were only 3 to 5 green dots, and one of them was extremely dazzling. The remaining green dots were all above the sea. It was obvious that it was inconvenient to stay inside the sea when Void Cloud was refining it. Staring at the dazzling green dot, killing intent appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. "Void Cloud, you're next." Wang Lin merged into the restriction formation and disappeared. When he reappeared, he was at the center of the pill sea. Just as his body appeared, he noticed the sea around him rotating, and thunderous rumbles echoed. He felt like he was going to be pulled along with the sea. Looking at the compass, he was not far from Void Cloud. However, Wang Lin looked around at the sea that was being pulled. "Perhaps I don't need to give up the 30 million Dao souls," Wang Lin pondered and no longer moved forward. Instead, he sank into the bottom of the sea and hid himself. Monstrous waves seemed to set off across the pill sea while the rumbles continued. 8 vortexes rotated along the edges, with the 9th vortex in the center of the pill sea. This vortex rotated faster and faster. Soon, the 8 vortexes gathered up the sea and began to rotate with the 9th vortex as the center. Deep within the 9th vortex sat Void Cloud. His face was a bit pale and his hands continued to form seals. Rumor has it that the pill sea was formed when a celestial pill landed here. However, the truth is that it wasn't a full celestial pill, only half of one. Void Cloud's eyes lit up and his right hand reached toward the void before him. Pill sea condense. With a bang, the vortexes begun rotating even faster. As they condensed, the sea decreased in size and strands of celestial energy spread out. The pill sea was like a basin, and at the center was a giant vortex pulling in the water. In the sky, tens of thousands of Green Devil Continent cultivators looked below. They were waiting for Void Cloud to condense that half a celestial pill to break open the barrier around the Heavenly Bull Continent. Wang Lin was also hiding inside the vortex. He was waiting for Void Cloud to condense the celestial pill before launching his attack. Time slowly passed. Void Cloud couldn't observe his surroundings at all. The tens of thousands of cultivators in the sky were all focusing their attention on Void Cloud. No one expected any Heavenly Bull Continent cultivators to remain in the pill sea after purging it many times. With the restriction here, there was no need to worry about what was happening inside. Even at this moment, no one noticed that the 3 large flags had been broken and that the compass had changed owners. At this moment, their gazes were all drawn by Void Cloud. After all, there was nothing more important than watching one of the 4 geniuses, Void Cloud, refine the pill sea into the celestial pill. Even Void Cloud didn't expect Wang Lin to return after leaving. He was inside the 9th vortex with a serious expression on his face, and his hand formed a seal, causing the vortex to rumble. The vortex quickly shrank from its endless size to less than 1 million feet. The seawater in the giant pill sea was refined into a vortex of 1 million feet. This scene excited the Green Devil Continent cultivators in the sky. Void Cloud revealed a smile. He took a deep breath and let out a roar at the sky as his cultivation erupted. His cultivation was very strange. Even at this moment, it was impossible to feel his exact cultivation level. One could only feel a powerful surge of sword energy. A sword intent surrounded the area. Teacher allowed me to come to form the celestial pill from the pill sea to push my reputation one step above the other 3. Then, as the number 1 genius in the Eastern Continent, I am to head to the imperial capital in the Central Continent to obtain the qualification to enter the Ancestral Temple. Void Cloud's eyes lit up. The 1 million feet of seawater began to condense once more into 500,000 feet. Then it shrank again to 300,000 feet. If one looked down from the sky, only 300,000 feet of area was covered in water. Seaweed and coral were revealed, and the numerous beasts in the sea exploded. The thunderous rumbles echoed across the entire pill sea. Void Cloud was very serious as his hands continued to form different seals. The 300,000 feet of seawater condensed once more to 100,000 feet. Void Cloud's face was pale. Even for him, this was no small burden. When the sea condensed to 100,000 feet, he waved his right hand and a jade bottle appeared. He crushed the bottle and a drop of golden liquid flew out. The moment this drop of golden liquid appeared, dense celestial energy appeared. The celestial energy was so dense it felt like it was solid. Void Cloud took a deep breath and waved his right hand. The drop of golden liquid flew toward the sea vortex before him. The pill sea was formed by a celestial pill. Many people know this. Many people have wanted to refine it back into the celestial pill, but no one has succeeded because they were missing a primer. The primer is this drop of golden liquid. Void Cloud smiled. This drop of golden liquid was very precious. It was something the Green Devil Continent had found after searching for countless years. This used to belong to the celestial pill that made the pill sea. Without it, it would be impossible to reform the celestial pill. 100,000 feet would be the limit. Many people had to stop at 100,000 feet and couldn't condense it anymore. The seawater would disperse and then turn back into the pill sea. But this time, since he, Void Cloud, had decided to act, he was fully prepared and wouldn't allow any mistakes. I'll personally refine the celestial pill, and destroy the barrier around the heavenly bull continent. This should be enough to become famous across the immortal astral continent. Void Cloud smiled, and the water before him changed drastically after absorbing the drop of golden liquid. The sea seemed to boil and began to churn violently. It suddenly shrank from 100,000 feet, breaking this threshold, and turned into 50,000 feet, 30,000 feet, 10,000 feet. The smaller it condenses, the more powerful the celestial pill will be. 10,000 feet isn't enough. Void Cloud closed his eyes, and a startling sword intent spread out from his body, covering the sea vortex. This was him fully integrating his divine sense into the sea vortex without holding anything back. Thunderous rumbles echoed. As all the cultivators in the sky watched, the 10,000 feet of seawater shrank to 8,000 feet, 5,000 feet, 3,000 feet. This was not over yet. It was rapidly shrinking toward 1,000 feet. As it shrank, the vortex of seawater could no longer be seen clearly. In an instant, half a celestial pill began to form inside. However, at this moment, no disturbance was allowed, because this was the last stage of condensing this half a celestial pill. The pill was extremely unstable, and if it were disturbed, it would likely explode early. The consequences of that would be unimaginable. This was why the Green Devil continent had cleared out the entire pill sea, to make sure nothing could go wrong before Void Cloud acted. However, because of the restriction, no one knew of Wang Lin's existence. This restriction now belonged to Wang Lin. If he wanted to hide himself, then no one could detect him inside the formation. Void Cloud was about to succeed, but at this moment an aura appeared from the seaweed below him. This aura was Wang Lin, and the instant he appeared, he took a step forward. He instantly disappeared, and when he reappeared, he was outside the 1,000 feet of sea water. Void Cloud was going to refine back into the celestial pill. Although Wang Lin had appeared very suddenly, countless divine senses locked onto him instantly. Some of the people in the sky immediately noticed him. Their expressions changed and they charged at Wang Lin. Although they were fast, Wang Lin was faster. He merged with the restriction and appeared outside the 1,000 feet of sea water. Void Cloud was refining. He raised his right hand and the blood sword appeared and sliced down. He wasn't slicing toward Void Cloud but the 1,000-foot sea vortex. Stop! Shocking roars came from the sky to deter Wang Lin, but Wang Lin's will was not something they could stop. Void Cloud had focused himself completely in the seawater, and it was very difficult to divide his attention. Wang Lin had also appeared very suddenly. His timing was exceptional, but Void Cloud didn't become one of the four geniuses by accident. As Wang Lin's sword descended, he actually opened his eyes and looked up. When he saw Wang Lin, he didn't have time to be shocked. He immediately bit his tongue to spit out a mouthful of blood. At the same time, his divine sense rapidly withdrew from the sea water. That mouthful of blood immediately turned into a sword shadow and collided with the blood sword. There was a loud bang as they collided. Blood flowed out from the corner of Wang Lin's mouth and the blood sword was knocked back. Void Cloud's face was pale and the sword shadow formed by the blood exploded. "It's you." Void Cloud's expression was fierce and his divine sense rapidly withdrew. Once his divine sense returned, he could free up his body to battle Wang Lin. He just needed to delay Wang Lin for a few moments for the hundreds of cultivators above to descend. Then it would be very difficult for Wang Lin to escape. But Wang Lin had waited for a long time, and he always planned several steps ahead, so how could he let Void Cloud escape? He had accounted for all possibilities, including the time it would take for the cultivators above to arrive. The restriction was in Wang Lin's hands, and with Wang Lin's control, they couldn't merge with the restriction. They could only fly toward Wang Lin. However, as they closed in, the restriction suddenly changed from only being able to enter, to only being able to leave. The restriction also shrank greatly and appeared before the hundreds of descending cultivators. The hundreds of cultivators slammed into the restriction and were blocked. However, the impact caused the restriction to tremble and show signs of breaking. However, Wang Lin didn't want to trap them, he just needed time. With the formation delaying them, it was enough. The moment Void Cloud's divine sense was about to withdraw from the water, Wang Lin's blood sword was knocked back. However, his fire essence true body appeared, caught the blood sword and cut down once more. With this, a sea of fire filled the area. and the timing was extremely good. It came directly after the first strike, and although the first strike had collapsed, the second strike was the real attack. This strike closed in. Void Cloud's eyes were bloodshot, and he let out a roar as the strike cut into the sea vortex. When the vortex was cut, it stopped rotating. A destructive aura came from the 1,000 feet of sea water. This aura felt like it could destroy the world countless times over. It was powerful enough to kill everything in sight. Void Cloud still had some of his divine sense inside the seawater. When the seawater was cut, the destructive aura spread out and his divine sense inside was destroyed, causing him to cough out blood. He retreated without hesitation, and at this moment, he no longer cared about Wang Lin or the sea water. Although he had come here with his avatar, if this avatar died and his sword intent collapsed, his original body would suffer a blow that would be difficult to recover from. Also at this moment, the hundreds of cultivators charging down and the army of tens of thousands of cultivators trembled. They felt a destructive aura that could wipe out all life spreading out in all directions, ignoring the restriction. The celestial pill is going to explode. In an instant, the tens of thousands of cultivators lost their wits and began to desperately escape. They wanted to fuse with the formation and leave, but with Wang Lin controlling the formation, none of them could leave. Wang Lin turned around without hesitation and took a step toward the Heavenly Bull continent. Ripples echoed and he was about to disappear. But just at this moment, the 1,000 feet of seawater released a thunderous rumble that spread across the Pill Sea and reached both the Heavenly Bull continent and the Green Devil continent. The countless cultivators in the sky coughed out blood and their ears buzzed. Void Cloud staggered and his eyes were filled with despair. "I will not let this go." As he roared, the 1,000 feet sea of water suddenly exploded. The sky distorted, the earth trembled, and an indescribable force of destruction spread out. The celestial pill exploded early. It should have exploded near the Heavenly Bull continent. It would break the barrier around the Heavenly Bull continent while shaking its foundation. A large portion of the Heavenly Bull continent would disintegrate and cause a great deal of damage. But at this moment, the celestial pill exploded at the center of the Pill Sea. As a result, the Heavenly Bull continent was not the only one that was damaged. The Green Devil continent suffered as well. Void Cloud was far too close. Even though he was running like crazy, he was still too close to the destructive force. Although his sword intent was powerful, before this destructive force, he collapsed with no chance of fighting back. Wang Lin merged with the world and was about to leave when the destructive force swept by like a giant mouth that was going to devour all life. As it closed in, Wang Lin's body disappeared ahead of time. Wherever the destructive force swept, the earth collapsed, revealing the dark void below. This destructive force instantly swept by the entire Pill Sea, and the Pill Sea disappeared. Then the destructive force smashed into the Heavenly Bull continent and the Green Devil continent at the same time. Rumble, 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 rumble. The entire Heavenly Bull continent trembled. A sound like a mirror cracking rang out, and then the barrier around the Heavenly Bull continent collapsed. The Green Devil continent suffered the same. A thunderous rumble echoed as the earth cracked and mountains collapsed. A giant phantom of a bull seemed to appear above the Heavenly Bull continent, and it let out a silent roar toward the Green Devil continent. Shortly after, a giant green scorpion that shrouded the entire Green Devil continent let out a silent hiss to match the giant bull's roar. Countless people among the tens of thousands of cultivators died in the Pill Sea. Void Cloud's avatar was too close and was the first to die. No matter how powerful his sword intent was, when facing the explosion of the celestial pill, he was as fragile as a piece of paper. Under the collapse, the entire Pill Sea disappeared. The Green Devil continent lost over tens of thousands of cultivators. The rest could not escape this destructive force and were filled with despair when a huge shadow appeared. This shadow looked like a person, but it was impossible to see the person's appearance clearly. He waved his sleeve and enveloped the remaining Green Devil continent cultivators. As the destructive force closed in, the figure retreated again, barely avoiding the destructive force. Then the figure disappeared without a trace, but in truth they were still wounded. The Pill Sea became a void, and the land near the Pill Sea on the Heavenly Bull continent began to collapse. The impact kicked up a dust storm that would last for an unknown amount of time. The earth of the Green Devil continent also shattered. The shattered earth flew into the sky like clouds and spread far and wide. Fortunately, the celestial pill exploded at the center of the Pill Sea. If it was closer to the Heavenly Bull continent, it would have done serious damage to the land. From this, one could see how extraordinary and mysterious the origin of the celestial pill was. 3 days later, the destructive power of the explosion of the celestial pill finally weakened until it disappeared. However, the dust storm that enveloped the edges of the two continents still existed. On the Green Devil continent's side, after 3 days of silence, they didn't change their plan of entering the Heavenly Bull continent. The three main sects joined together and gathered disciples and elders to form a 70,000 cultivator army that marched toward the Heavenly Bull continent that no longer had a barrier. A portion of the cultivators that had reached the void turbulent stage broke off from the main army. Dozens of lights charged forward. They were the vanguard of this war. They were also a force that would play a great role in this war. Heavenly Bull continent, a mountain range close to the Pill Sea. The mountains here had collapsed. The sky was dark and covered in dust, making it gloomy. There was also the howling of wind. The wind sounded like screams of resentful souls, eerie enough to shake one's mind. In the mist, there was a collapsed mountain with a white-haired youth sitting inside. He was Wang Lin. At this moment, Wang Lin's face was deathly pale. He had spent the last 3 days recovering from his injuries. There were stains of dark red blood on the ground. He had coughed this blood out due to his injuries. The destructive power was within Wang Lin's expectations, but he was still hit by the aftershock. Although it had only swept by his body for an instant, at that moment, Wang Lin felt like he heard the sound of his bones breaking, flash shattering, and origin soul being destroyed. After he arrived here, he could no longer hold it in. He coughed out blood and quickly recovered. If it was an ordinary cultivator, if they didn't die, they would have had to find another body. However, with Wang Lin's ancient Dao body, he was only injured. On the evening of the third day, Wang Lin opened his eyes for the first time and took a few breaths. He frowned as the dust in the air made breathing bitter. He looked up at the sky. Although it was dusk, the dust made it impossible to see the sun or moon. It was worth it. Although I'm injured. When he said he wouldn't let me go before his death, it meant that he likely came with his avatar. However, that avatar is now completely dead. The death of the avatar will affect the original body. I just don't know how big the impact will be. It shouldn't be small. And I also obtained this. Wang Lin shook his head and his pale face turned slightly red. He then waved his hand and there was a flash of light. A compass appeared in his palm. This compass looked very ordinary and the map of the Pill Sea had disappeared from it. Instead, it was the area around Wang Lin right now. There was no light on it. This set of restrictions is mysterious, and after I devour it, my restriction essence will increase. However, it is still useful, so there is no rush to devour it. The reason Wang Lin dared to heal here was partially due to this restriction. Before he started healing, he set up the restriction here. He made it smaller, which made it even more powerful, and it only allowed people to leave rather than enter. My injuries have recovered 70% to 80%, so there shouldn't be any problems. Now that my water essence is complete, I need to return to the Great Soul Sect. I wonder if they got my jade. Looking at the time, it shouldn't have arrived, but the trembling of the Heavenly Bull continent 3 days ago should have attracted some attention. Wang Lin pondered as he stood up. His eyes shined as his left hand reached out and a jade appeared in his grasp. This jade looked very ordinary, but it contained a recording of Wang Lin entering the Pill Sea the second time, when he destroyed the 3 flags, stole the compass, cut the celestial pill, and killed Void Cloud. It recorded until Wang Lin left the Pill Sea. Wang Lin was not a young cultivator who didn't know anything. After joining the Great Soul Sect, he knew that merits were the main method to obtain treasures, pills, and cultivation methods from a sect. If he just told people, others would suspect or not believe him. The best method to prove himself was, of course, to record everything in a jade. As for whether it was real or fake, just looking at it would be enough. After pondering a bit, Wang Lin wiped away the scene of him obtaining the compass, leaving only him cutting the celestial pill. This was enough. With this, I can ask for the multi-layered illusion spell from esteemed Green Bull. Wang Lin put away the jade and compass. After removing the restriction, Wang Lin flew toward the depths of the Heavenly Bull continent. After flying more than 100,000 feet, ripples echoed and he disappeared. When he reappeared, he was far away from the Pill Sea, in the inner part of the Heavenly Bull continent. He didn't pause at all as he quickly flew ahead. Time slowly went by. In a flash, more than half a month had passed. Wang Lin was not far from the Great Soul Sect, but this was only from the view of using spatial bending. If one were to fly, they would still need several months. This was also deep within the Heavenly Bull continent. There were mountain ranges everywhere and green grass covering the land. This area hadn't been affected by the impact from the Pill Sea at all. After all, the Heavenly Bull continent was simply too large, and the area affected by the explosion in the Pill Sea was only a small part. During the intervals between spatial bending, Wang Lin would sit on the Mosquito King, who quickly flew forward. Aside from using spatial bending, he sat on the back of the Mosquito King and recovered. After more than half a month, he had recovered up to 80% or 90%. The remaining injuries were negligible. On this day, while Wang Lin was flying, he suddenly raised his head and his eyes narrowed. Before him, there were several flashes of ghostly light. There were black paper cranes inside these lights. These paper cranes flew off in different directions, and they were even faster than Wang Lin, disappearing in a flash. Fortunately, one passed by Wang Lin, and the moment it was about to disappear, Wang Lin used the stop spell to stop it a few hundred feet away. He waved his hand and it flew into his hand. His divine sense entered the paper crane and a powerful voice suddenly echoed in his mind. The Green Devil continent is invading. The Pill Sea has been destroyed and so has the barrier around the Heavenly Bull continent. Their army will arrive soon. The Great Soul Sect and the Guei Sect are issuing the Soul Order. All sects are to seal their sects, and all combat-ready cultivators will gather at the 7 key points on the Heavenly Bull continent that were created countless years ago. Wang Lin loosened the paper crane and it disappeared in a flash without a trace. Wang Lin pondered as he looked at the sky before him and thought of a lot of things. After a long time, he frowned and no longer pondered all the strange thoughts that had appeared in his mind. He calmed down, sat on the back of the Mosquito King and flew away. While Wang Lin was on his way back to the Great Sect, on the 20th day after the explosion, dozens of void turbulent cultivators from the Green Devil continent arrived as the advance team. Their goal was to consume the third step cultivators in the Heavenly Bull continent at all costs. The more they killed, the bigger the chance of victory. About 1 month behind them, the Green Devil continent army of 70,000 cultivators covered the sky and slowly advanced. Behind this army of 70,000 cultivators, there was a terrifying sword shadow slowly following with a terrifying sword intent. This was a golden ancient sword, and on top of the sword sat a young man in blue. His long hair was draped over his shoulder, and he was almost demonically handsome. He was calm, but his face was a bit pale as he looked into the distant Heavenly Bull continent. There was a flash of coldness in his eyes. He has destroyed my avatar and forced my cultivation level to fall to early stage void turbulent. We will slowly deal with this grudge. The golden ancient sword under him gave off an extremely noble aura, and the shadow of a golden armored giant in imperial robes appeared behind the sword. This figure was incomparably large and gave off an ancient aura. This sword was extraordinary. Wang Lin was confused about one matter, the strange feeling he had when he saw the paper cranes. Whether it was the Green Devil continent or the Heavenly Bull continent, they all belonged to the Celestial clan. The sects of the 2 continents might have killed each other before, but to refine the Pill Seal to blast open another continent and invade made Wang Lin have other thoughts. This matter was no matter private grudges between sects, but real war. Interesting. I hope my speculation does not come true. Otherwise, the more people that die, the less connection I will feel with the Celestial clan. If it really is just for what I guess, then this really chills one's heart. Whether it and oppose the Green Devil continent or the Heavenly Bull continent, perhaps, Wang Lin silently pondered as he sat on the back of the Mosquito King. He thought about a lot, about how the Great Soul Sect had left him 3 gifts and how esteemed Great Bull had said that the first-generation ancestor had divinvated his arrival. There was a huge purpose in all of this. This purpose was very important for the Great Soul Sect and the Green Devil Continent. Therefore, the Green Devil Continent launched countless smaller assaults on the Heavenly Bull Continent. This time, they went big to refine the Pill Seed to blast their way inside to the Heavenly Bull Continent. Therefore, countless years ago, the Great Soul Sect moved here. The first ancestor of the Great Soul Sect divinated the changes in the future, all for this long-hidden secret. Wang Lin silently pondered and opened his palm. A small person appeared in his hand and he looked at the little person. After a long time, he didn't use it to divinate the changes in the future, but closed his palm to put it away. So what if I know in advance? With my Dao spell, I simply can't divinate it. The old ancestor left me 3 gifts, and one of them was his own divination. I guess he knew I would question it and left me with an answer. Wang Lin smiled and he didn't use that gift. He didn't need to know how, and from clues, he found he had some speculations. Now he just needed to confirm them until he found the real answer. Wang Lin was good at this kind of thing, or he could ignore the war here and leave early. After 10 days, Wang Lin appeared outside the Great Soul Sect. The moment he appeared, several rays of light flew toward him. Wang Lin felt that the Great Soul Sect seemed to be in a haze and was shrouded in distortions. Bursts of killing intent that made his pupils shrink came from the distortions. This killing intent wasn't targeted at him. It was just part of the protection formation around the Great Soul Sect. The distortion shrouded the sect, making it impossible to see inside. Wang Lin felt that the Great Soul Sect was in battle mode. It was like a volcano that was about to erupt, and it was somewhat oppressive. This was just the feeling Wang Lin had when he saw this. It should be true, or it could just be an illusion. The rays of light closed in on Wang Lin. There was caution and killing intent within the rays of light. However, after this killing intent clearly saw Wang Lin, it slowly dissipated, but they were still on guard. Several rays of light turned into 7 people before Wang Lin. Among the 7 of them, there were 2 elders of the Great Soul Sect, and the other 5 were disciples. Elder Wang, sorry to offend you. One of the elders had talked to Wang Lin once. He had observed Wang Lin and Yan Lu's battle. One of the elders clasped his hands and slowly said, "The Green Devil Continent has broken open the barrier of my Heavenly Bull Continent, and the ancestor has ordered us to seal the sect. Everyone who returns, regardless of whether they are elders or disciples, or their status, must be rigorously inspected before entering the sect." The other elder also clasped his hands at Wang Lin. After they saw Wang Lin enter the 7th and 8th floors back to back, very few people in the Great Soul Sect were willing to offend him. The 5 disciples beside the 2 of them bowed their heads. They would occasionally glance at Wang Lin. This was their first time meeting Wang Lin in person. No problem. It is a time of war, so it should be like this. Wang Lin nodded with a smile and didn't mind. Seeing Wang Lin smile, the 2 elders relaxed a bit. Unless they had to, they really didn't want to get on Wang Lin's bad side. If they had to get into an unpleasant situation due to an order from the sect, it really wasn't worth it. Seeing how easygoing Wang Lin was, the 2 of them also smiled and wanted even more to be friends with Wang Lin. "Elder Wang, please take out your token. Then mark it with your divine sense to verify your origin soul, and then drip a drop of blood to verify your body," one of the elders said as he clasped his hands. Wang Lin nodded and his right hand reached out at the void. The token he had used to enter the Soul Scripture Pavilion appeared. He marked it with his divine sense and then dripped a drop of blood it before throwing the token at the 2 elders. One of the elders grabbed the token, formed a seal, and then pointed at the restriction behind him. A powerful pressure surged out and charged at Wang Lin. It instantly swept through his body. Wang Lin's mind trembled. He clearly felt that this pressure was very strange. The main role was to expel any excess origin souls or divine senses on Wang Lin. It even judged how well adjusted his origin soul was to his body. These methods were used to judge his identity. Then the pressure locked onto the token. Only after doing the 2-step verification did the pressure slowly disappear. It was only at this moment that the 2 elders relaxed completely. They returned the token to Wang Lin and one of them laughed. "Elder Wang, sorry for the trouble. You can enter the restriction and return to the sect. We are still on duty, so we need to head back and can't accompany Elder Wang. I hope Elder Wang understands. If others were polite to him, then he would naturally be polite to them." He had become a grand scholar in the dream world, so he naturally had a mysterious temperament to him. He smiled and clasped his hands at the two. Just as he was about to leave, he suddenly asked something. Did something happen in the sect recently? The two elders looked at each other. One of them whispered, 7 days ago, there was a Green Devil Continent cultivator trying to blend into the Great Soul sect. He was found by Elder Sudongda and was immediately killed. The old ancestor was very angry and then, at this point, the elder smiled bitterly and left after clasping his hands at Wang Lin. Wang Lin silently pondered and then flew into the Great Soul sect. The feeling of pressure became even more intense. The entire Great Soul sect was filled with rays of light as disciples flew between the various peaks. Some large refining materials that might be too large to put into storage spaces were being manually moved by cultivators between the various peaks. There were also large amounts of disciples on the several large herb mountains gathering herbs and delivering them to the several alchemy specialist elders to begin refining pills. There were various fluctuations of cultivation coming from the many mountains. It was clear that the elders were all in closed-door cultivation to keep themselves at their peak in order to complete the tasks the sect would hand out. All the peaks in the sect were bustling, beside Wang Lin's fire mountain, which didn't have any movement or sound. When he looked over, he saw Fan Shanmeng sitting motionlessly in her cave. Wang Lin pondered a bit and waved his sleeve. He didn't return to his own mountain but headed toward the depths of the sect, where old ancestor Green Bull was. Greetings, Elder Wang. Dao Burning Peak Disciple greets Elder Wang. Brayakin Peak Disciple greets Elder Wang. Along the way, all disciples that saw Wang Lin stopped to greet him before returning to their tasks. Wang Lin didn't stop, he simply nodded as he flew away. His cultivation was not ordinary, so it attracted the attention of the elders he flew past. However, after they saw that it was Wang Lin, they all withdrew their divine senses. Shortly after, the green heavenly peak appeared before Wang Lin. Wang Lin teleported and appeared outside the green heavenly peak. He clasped his hands toward the peak and spoke calmly. Wang Lin requests to greet esteemed Green Bull. The green heavenly peak looked different from before. It was now covered by a thin layer of green mist. After Wang Lin spoke, the mist moved, revealing an opening. Come in. Esteemed Green Bull's voice echoed. Wang Lin didn't hesitate to charge into the opening. After he entered, the mist covered up the opening. Wang Lin followed the mist and arrived at the green heavenly peak. There, he saw esteemed Green Bull sitting in the distance with a solid origin soul that looked like little person in his palm. This little person was kowtowing toward esteemed Green Bull. Wang Lin stood on the side and silently looked at the little person in esteemed Green Bull's palm. A moment later, the little person kowtowed 6 times in a row and looked tired. Esteemed Green Bull closed his palm and the little person disappeared. I have obtained your jade. This matter will be considered a merit. Esteemed Green Bull slowly opened his eyes and looked at Wang Lin with a smile. The Green Devil Continent has had many small conflicts with my Green Bull Continent, but this is the first time they do something so big. They actually found a way to refine the pills C. This matter won't end in a short period of time. The Green Devil Continent has 3 big sects, and their ancestors are all at the same cultivation level as me. However, it is no problem. I alone can fight 2 of them. Esteemed Green Bull's eyes revealed a cold light. For him to take the initiative to say this, it meant that what he saw through the soul eye Dao was not good. Wang Lin's expression remained the same, and he sat opposite of esteemed Green Bull. He looked at esteemed Green Bull and suddenly spoke. I want the multi-layered illusion in the 9th floor of the Soul Scripture Pavilion. Esteemed Green Bull's eyes narrowed and he silently pondered. The multi-layered illusion on the 9th floor was the Great Soul Sect's most powerful spell. Originally, it would be fine to pass it on to Wang Lin, but the first-generation ancestor had divinated that it would take Wang Lin 300 years to enter the 9th floor. While pondering, esteemed Green Bull suddenly said, The Soul Scripture Pavilion has a 10th floor. Wang Lin remained calm, but his pupils shrank slightly. Not even I can enter the 10th floor. Only the first-generation ancestor could enter. That is where he passed away while sitting. After esteemed Green Bull said this, he became silent once more. Wang Lin also silently pondered. He couldn't guess why esteemed Green Bull was telling him this. After a long time, about 1 incense of time later, Esteemed Green Bull looking into the sky in the distance and spoke once more. Your merit isn't enough to obtain the complete multi-layered illusion spell on the 9th floor. Wang Lin raised his right hand and a jade appeared in his grasp. He handed it to Esteemed Green Bull. Adding this, is it enough? Esteemed Green Bull frowned and looked at Wang Lin. He took the jade and his divine sense entered it. His expression immediately changed. He looked up at Wang Lin before focusing on the jade once more. After seeing everything Wang Lin had done to cut the celestial pill, Esteemed Green Bull took a deep breath. He looked at Wang Lin with a mysterious light in his eyes. With his cultivation level, he could naturally judge that everything that he had seen in the jade was true. With what he managed to divinate and the secret reports he had received, he managed to clearly reconstruct what happened in the pill sea in his mind. Although Wang Lin was 80% to 90% healed, there was still that trace of injury that couldn't heal quickly. This all added up to make what was recorded in the jade authentic. Good. Esteemed Green Bull held the jade and began to laugh. He waved his left hand and a powerful surge of energy surged into Wang Lin's body. Popping sounds echoed and all of Wang Lin's remaining injuries recovered. This time you have achieved a great merit. In my Great Soul Sect, as long as one achieves merit, they will be rewarded. I can give you the complete multi-layered illusion spell from the 9th floor. But you have to promise me something. Esteemed Green Bull looked at Wang Lin. The more he looked, the more he admired Wang Lin. The first-generation ancestor was really amazing to choose someone with such courage and guts. Wang Lin didn't feel any self-satisfaction from Esteemed Green Bull's words. He calmly looked at him and asked, "What condition?" Kill 10 Green Devil Continent Early-Stage Void Turbulent Cultivators and 3 Green Devil Continent Mid-Stage Void Turbulent Cultivators. Enter the 9th and 10th floors of the Soul Scripture Pavilion. Once you have done these 3 things, you can leave the Great Soul Sect. With this, Wang Lin's heart trembled and he pondered. He indeed had thoughts of leaving on his way back. He was prepared to help the Great Soul Sect as much as he could before leaving to avoid the war. After all, his goals were the Donglin sect and the distant ancient Dao clan. So he couldn't stay in the Heavenly Bull continent for long. In addition, he had some speculations about this war, so he wasn't willing to get too involved. Esteemed Green Bull obviously thought about this but didn't force Wang Lin to stay. Instead, he set 3 conditions, and this reminded Wang Lin about the 3 gifts. After pondering for a long time, Wang Lin looked at Esteemed Green Bull and seriously nodded. No matter what the Great Soul Sect's goal was, they had indeed helped him, and Wang Lin would repay those who helped him. Now that he had agreed to these 3 conditions, and although they were difficult, Wang Lin determined that it was possible. Seeing Wang Lin nod, Esteemed Green Bull smiled and no longer spoke. He waved his sleeve and an ancient jade flew toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin caught the jade. It contained the extremely powerful spell of the Great Soul Sect, the complete multi-layered illusion spell from the 9th floor. To cultivate this spell, you need to refine the ghostly sail. Now that the war has begun, I'll gift you all the materials. However, the ghostly sail requires a soul, and if you don't have a suitable one, you can go find one at the Ghost Peak. As Esteemed Green Bull spoke, his hand reached out at the void and a ball of light appeared. The ball of light contained a lot of refining materials, and he handed it to Wang Lin. Wang Lin waved his sleeve and put the ball of light into his sleeve. He got up, clasped his hands at Esteemed Green Bull and left. You don't have much time. 7 days from now, I'll send you with a few other elders to guard one of the 7 meridians of the Heavenly Bull. Esteemed Green Bull's words echoed, but Wang Lin didn't turn around as he left the green heavenly peak. Wang Lin flew back to his own mountain. The fire inside seemed to have extinguished after he left, but it was still red. However, when Wang Lin landed on the mountain, it began to burn once more, and a faint rumble could be heard. Fan Shanmeng, who had her eyes closed, immediately opened her eyes and panicked a bit. She bit her lower lip and seeing Wang Lin not calling her after a while, she felt uneasy. At this moment, Wang Lin had no time to bother with Fan Shanmeng. He arrived in his cave and sat down. A ball of light flew out from his sleeve, and after breaking open the ball of light, materials for refining the ghostly sail appeared in the cave. These materials were all different, but they were all extremely precious. After all, Esteemed Green Bull had gifted them to him. so they were all of excellent quality. After looking at these materials, he took out the ancient jade containing the multi-layered illusion spell. His divine sense entered and he memorized all of its contents, including the method to refine the ghostly sail. According to the jade, the name of the ghostly sail was the ghost sail. It was divided into beginning, middle, upper, extreme, and absolute grade. Each grade corresponded to 2 layers of illusions. In the Great Soul sect, most disciples only had beginning grade, and only elders could achieve middle grade. Some core disciples that were favored by their teacher might be given a middle grade ghostly sail to protect themselves. The ghostly sail Fan Shanmeng had was middle grade, and it was something Yin Lu had gifted her. Normally, a middle grade ghostly sail was already extremely powerful. If used properly, it could ignore cultivation. This was already proven in Fan Shanmeng's hands. If one could obtain an upper or extreme grade ghost sail to use along with the multi-layered illusion, then it would become terrifying. As for absolute grade, it was too difficult to refine. In the entire Great Soul sect there was only one. This ghost sail was the sect protection formation around the Great Soul sect. From Wang Lin's view, this formation wasn't even fully activated, and only a small part of its power was being used. He was able to clearly deduce this in his mind based on the information recorded in the jade, and from his own speculations. The ghostly sail requires a soul to complete the refining process, but this soul doesn't need to be that of a cultivator, nor is one with a higher cultivation better. It needs a dead soul. Wang Lin frowned. This was the first time he had heard of the term dead soul. The jade defined a dead soul as when a person or a beast died, but the right amount of obsession, unwillingness, or resentment remained to form an otherworldly existence that others couldn't see or feel. A bit more and it would become a useless, resentful soul, but not enough meant that nothing can form. Therefore, one of these was very difficult to obtain. The Great Soul sect had countless people studying dead souls, and they slowly found a method to refine them from a people or beasts right before their deaths. However, the dead souls refined from this method lacked the test of time, and no matter what cultivation level the person or beast was, the dead soul could only be used to refine beginning grade ghost sails, or at most middle grade. These dead souls could only withstand 3 or 4 layers of illusions. Any more and they would be unable to withstand it and collapse. This dead soul can be considered a will. Only a dead soul with a powerful will, one that has been refined by time to become even stronger, can withstand more than 4 layers of illusions. The principle of the multi-layered illusion is obviously this will. This will is the nourishment to produce illusions to make people lose themselves. The stronger the will, the stronger the illusion. Wang Lin pondered as he slowly understood the structure of the multi-layered illusion. His eyes were filled with admiration. The tricks and intricacies of the spell were very difficult to figure out without seeing the complete spell. The person who created this spell must be an amazing genius. Wang Lin looked at the jade in his hand and let out a sigh. In truth, this technique was very easy to understand. Wang Lin remembered that when he was a child, before he became a cultivator, he would hear from adults in the village about which family's house was haunted. Oftentimes, the family would go to the nearby city to invite someone to dispel the ghost to calm themselves. He remembered that something like this had happened in his family too. He had originally forgotten, but learning the principle of the multi-layered illusion spell had brought that memory back. The so-called being haunted is mostly an illusion that allows someone to see some strange images and be immersed in it. As a result, the whole haunted situation occurs. This is to make one feel uneasy or irritated psychologically. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he looked at the jade in his hand. Only when he became a cultivator and looked back did he realize that the so-called haunting was just a natural sense of resentment that caught some people's hearts. This made them feel uneasy and disturbed, so they thought it was ghosts. This was the core of the multi-layered illusion, and the origin of illusions. The multi-layered illusion is so simple once seen through. What kind of illusion is this? This is clearly to turn a ghost into a person. It sounds easy, but to think of this method and turn it into a spell, even a Dao spell, deserves my respect. Wang Lin's eyes revealed enlightenment. After Wang Lin left the green heavenly peak, a steamed green bull stayed sitting on the top of the mountain, looking into the distance. After a long time, he muttered something only he could hear. The Celestial Emperor has only come out of closed-door cultivation for several years. The Green Devil continent indeed couldn't hold it any longer. The first generation's divination is very accurate. However, some subtle things are out of place, and the ancestors' method was too soft. It is not suitable for the current situation. The Green Devil Continent's goal is also my Great Soul Sect's goal. It is also the Guai Sect's goal. Esteemed Green Bull suddenly smiled. Lu Wen ran. As his words echoed, water-like ripples appeared behind him and a middle-aged man walked out. This man wore a green Dao robe and looked ordinary, but he gave off the fluctuations of someone at the mid-stage of void turbulent. He stepped out and stood behind esteemed Green Bull with his hands respectfully clasped. Disciple Lu Wenran greets teacher. Green Bull didn't turn around. He looked at the cloud in the distance and calmly said, "Did you meet him at the Pill Sea?" Disciple was with the Guai Sect's Ouyang Hui and Uncle Master Meng Zihai battling against the Green Devil Continent messengers. According to teacher's order, Uncle Master Meng pretended we were no match and escaped using the cloud boat, so I didn't see this person. In 7 days, go to the third Heavenly Bull Meridian with him. Esteemed Green Bull closed his eyes. Disciple obeys. The middle-aged man's expression remained the same, but his eyes shined an indiscernible amount. Ripples echoed and he disappeared. In a flash, 5 days of the remaining 7 days passed. During these 5 days, Wang Lin remained at his peak and immersed himself in the multi-layered illusion spell. All the materials were used according to the method in the jade, and Wang Lin had refined himself a black ghost sail. This sail was weaved after melting countless materials. Although it looked like cloth, it was only its looks. However, it was not complete yet. Its body was formed, but it was still missing a dead soul. Once a dead soul had been added, it could be used to cast the multi-layered illusion spell. Wang Lin's eyes lit up inside the cave and his right hand reached out at the sail. He grabbed the sail and left the cave for the first time in 5 days. He remembered esteemed Green Bull saying that he had 7 days. He only had 2 days left, so he was going to the Ghost Peak to find a dead soul to fuse with the sail. His figure disappeared, and when he reappeared, he was outside the burning mountain. He looked to the north. According to the map of the Great Soul Sect, the Ghost Peak was there. Without hesitation, Wang Lin charged toward the Ghost Peak. In the north end of the Great Soul Sect, there was a forbidden land surrounded by endless fog. Few disciples came here. Only when they needed a dead soul would they come here to look for one with their respective teachers. Only core disciples with high cultivation levels might come by themselves. There were large amounts of dead souls gathered here by the Great Soul Sect. Although the quality wasn't high, they were easy to obtain. After all, the Great Soul Sect was famous for its illusions, and without the Ghost Peak, most disciples wouldn't be able to complete their ghost sails. Over the countless years, although the dead souls were constantly replenished, there still weren't many dead souls there. After all, the Great Soul Sect had great demand for dead souls. Many of these dead souls had been gathered by people of the Great Soul Sect countless years ago as a task from the sect. However, few to little could cultivate on their own, so they had to be refined over time. A vast majority of them were directly sealed here, and were left to be taken by a disciple in the future. On the evening of the 5th day, the sky was hazy and looked very depressing when Wang Lin arrived outside the Ghost Peak. This mountain was covered in fog and was extremely gloomy. There were gusts of cold wind, making it seem like the underworld. However, Wang Lin didn't feel any discomfort at all. Maybe it was due to his cultivation, or the fact that he had turned his domain into the underworld river before. Life and death cycle, the changes of the underworld river. Wang Lin was no stranger to such things. He didn't pause as he stepped toward the Ghost Peak. When he got close, there was a ripple of restrictions echoing around Wang Lin, as if it was determining if Wang Lin had the qualifications to enter. Soon, the restriction dissipated and Wang Lin calmly entered the Ghost Peak. The Ghost Peak was a bare mountain and very tall, as if it was going to pierce the sky. There was no grass, only graves. These graves were densely packed, and there were thousands of them filling up the mountain. Bursts of cold aura shrouded the area. If one stood there and closed their eyes, they would feel endless roars echoing here. Although it was silent here, this feeling was extremely strong. Wang Lin walked past the graves. They each contained more or less a dead soul inside. They were all in a sealed state, and sometimes the seals were loosened and some of their aura floated out. Wang Lin was silent along the way. His divine senna spread out as he walked toward the top of the mountain. As he walked up, the number of graves decreased. He was about to reach the top when he saw an extraordinary grave. This was the only grave with a tombstone. The writing on the tombstone was blurry and gave off the smell of decay. It was unknown how long it had been there. There was a woman with long hair wearing white below the tombstone. She was kneeling there and was weeping. The crying entered Wang Lin's heart. It was very clear and seemed to stir something inside his heart. This place was completely quiet besides this cry. A small gust of wind blew by and slightly lifted her hair. Looking at the woman in white, Wang Lin stopped. He didn't continue climbing up the mountain but calmly looked at her. The crying slowly stopped. The woman seemed to have noticed that there was someone behind her, but she didn't turn around. "This is my tombstone." After a long time, a ghostly voice came from the woman in white. This voice was very faint, as if it came from far away. Unless one listened carefully, it was difficult to hear clearly. Wang Lin silently pondered a bit and then slowly said, "I can see it." The moment Wang Lin spoke, the woman in white suddenly trembled as if she wanted to turn around, but after pausing for a second, she didn't. After a long time the woman asked, "Can you see me? Can you hear me crying?" "I can," Wang Lin said calmly. In truth, if he wanted to, he could see all the dead souls here. This was greatly related to his life and death essence. Life and death, the difference between the left and right hand. Similar yet different. The woman touched the writing on the tombstone and softly said, "You aren't not the one I'm waiting for. Nor am I your soul." Wang Lin looked up past this point and at the top of the mountain. There were 7 or 8 more graves that gave off a dark aura. There was a number of dead souls, and about 2 or 3 of them are powerful enough to be refined into middle-grade ghost sails. These were the best quality dead souls at the ghost peak. "I can't find my body, I can only find this tombstone." After the woman in white spoke, she began to cry again. Wang Lin silently pondered for a bit as he raised his feet to talk toward the top of the mountain, toward the few high-quality dead souls. However, after a few steps, the crying of the woman in white became a bit more intense. "Where is my body? Where is my home? Where is my home?" The woman's voice entered Wang Lin's heart and he stopped. "What is your name?" "Forgot." The woman shook her head as she cried. "From now on, you will be called Brilliant Void." After Wang Lin spoke, he suddenly turned and waved his right hand. The woman disappeared and the only things that remained was the grave and tombstone. Shortly after, Wang Lin left. He didn't choose any of the high-quality souls, but this woman in white, even though her soul could only refine a beginning-grade ghost sail. But when the woman asked where her home and family were, Wang Lin's heart trembled. The process of fusing the dead soul into the ghost sail didn't take long. One day was enough. After the dead soul of the woman in white fused with Wang Lin's ghost sail, its color changed to white. The sound of crying would come out of the white sail and enter one's heart. It would make one think of the figure of a woman in white crying. On the 7th day, a jade penetrated layers of protection and arrived before Wang Lin, who was inside his cave. Wang Lin listened to this order. "Go to the Heavenly Bull's 3rd key point and guard it." A steamed green bull's voice came echoed in the cave and the jade floated motionlessly before Wang Lin. Wang Lin opened his eyes, his gaze calm. His divine sense scanned the jade and information entered his mind. Generations of ancestors of the Great Soul Sect had spent immeasurable amounts of time to create 7 key spots on the Heavenly Bull continent. They were based on the 7 meridians of the Heavenly Bull. At these 7 meridians, one could borrow the power of the Heavenly Bull through a powerful formation. At the same time, it would bring a lot of mysterious benefits to the cultivators of the Heavenly Bull continent. The Great Soul Sect's 1st-generation ancestor had divinated Wang Lin's arrival and the Green Devil continent's large-scale invasion. How could they not have anything prepared? Whether it was the 7 meridians or the disciples who resided in the Pill Sea, they were all pieces placed by the Great Soul Sect. If the Great Soul Sect cared, the Pill Sea wouldn't have been so easily refined. Although the Green Devil continent was powerful, they couldn't compare to the 1st-generation ancestor of the Great Soul Sect in terms of divination. This was because the 1st-generation ancestor was from the same school as the current imperial teacher, a Tao inheritor from ancient times. A steamed green bull hadn't only given a jade to Wang Lin, but to a total of 4 elders in the Great Soul Sect. Putting the jade away, Wang Lin stood up and dusted his clothes before calmly walking out from the mountain. The moment he left, the sea of fire on the mountain gathered behind him to form his essence true body. It slowly fused with his body and disappeared. With one step, Wang Lin turned into a ray of light and flew toward the entrance of the Great Soul Sect. Behind him was a ray of light, charging toward the entrance with Wang Lin. The two of them were very fast, but the ray of light behind Wang Lin passed him and arrived one step before him to reveal a middle-aged man in green. This man looked ordinary, and he turned around to look at the incoming Wang Lin. The middle-aged man looked profoundly at Wang Lin and slowly said, "Elder Wang, I'm Lu Wanran." Wang Lin calmly landed and looked at the middle-aged man. Elder Lu is very unfamiliar. During Wang Lin's time at the Great Soul Sect, he had some impression of most of the elders, beside those old monsters. But this was his first time meeting this middle-aged man. I was stationed in a place far away by the old ancestor and have just returned, so it's natural that Elder Wang is unfamiliar with me. The middle-aged man smiled. In the middle of their conversation, 2 more rays of light arrived from the sect, revealing a man and woman. The woman was Yen Lu, and the man was a young man in a Taoist robe. Yen Lu greets Elder Lu. I didn't expect Elder Lu to be coming with us. Yen Lu and Lu Wanran knew each other and greeted each other with smiles. It is an honor to have Elder Yen Lu and Elder Su Dongda with me. The middle-aged man and Lu Wanran smiled. Greetings, Elder Lu. The young man in the Taoist robe remained calm as he clasped his hands at Lu Wanran. Then he no longer spoke. He seemed to be the silent type. Wang Lin looked at the 3 of them. The weakest among them was at the early stage of Void Turbulent. The middle-aged man named Lu Wanran was at the mid-stage of Void Turbulent. He was at the same cultivation level as the 7-colored celestial sovereign, but he felt greatly inferior. With these 3 people, it was already a powerful force. Compared to them, Wang Lin's peak spirit void cultivation really couldn't compare. While Wang Lin was observing the 3 of them, the 2 beside Yen Lu were also observing Wang Lin. During this time, Wang Lin had gained a certain amount of fame in the Great Soul Sect. Su Dongda looked at Wang Lin and thought to himself, someone who can enter the 7th and 8th floors of the Soul Scripture Pavilion can't be underestimated. This person safely left the Pill Sea and also caused the Celestial Pill to explode. I can't judge him based on what I see on the surface. Also, the fact that he was able to return from the Pill Sea so quickly is amazing as well. Lu Wanran looked at Wang Lin. He had also returned from the Pill Sea, but it was with the first ancestor's cloud boat that Ankle Teacher Meng had. It was one of the first-generation ancestors' extremely mysterious treasures, and its speed was unimaginable. Okay, since everyone is here, our task is to head to the Heavenly Bull's 3rd meridian and guard against the Green Devil Continent's invasion. This trip will be one of life and death, and it will be unpredictable. Everyone should be careful. Lu Wanran took a deep breath and clasped his hands at the other 3. Wang Lin silently pondered. Yen Lu and Su Dongda didn't speak either. They only nodded. The 4 of them quickly left the Great Soul Sect. Many other teams like them left the Great Soul Sect. They had all received the old ancestors' command to guard various locations. The 4 of them were all very fast. In particular, Lu Wanran, who was at the mid-stage of Void Turbulent. He moved as if he was accompanied by thunder. As for Yen Lu and the cultivator called Su Dongda, they were both at the early stage of Void Turbulent, so they weren't slow. Only Wang Lin's speed couldn't compare to theirs in the long term. His eyes lit up and he summoned the mosquito beast. He sat on the back of the mosquito as it charged forward. The moment the mosquito beast appeared, the other 3 all looked over. They all noticed that the mosquito beast was extraordinary. Lu Wanran smiled and asked, Elder Wang's fierce beast speed is comparable to a Void Turbulent cultivator. I wonder where did Elder Wang obtain it? The moment he spoke, Yen Lu and Su Dongda began to pay attention. I obtained it in my hometown, Wang Lin said briefly and calmly. Oh, I wonder where Elder Wang's hometown is. Lu Wanran revealed a look of interest. Elder Lu. Wang Lin frowned and looked at Lu Wanran. Lu Wanran felt that he misspoke and smiled. He stopped asking questions, but he coldly snorted in his heart. The 4 of them remained silent the whole way. After 7 days, Lu Wenren waved his sleeve and took out a jade. After taking a closer look, he pointed below. This is the place. This place is a transfer array created by the first-generation ancestor of my Great Soul sect. It can teleport people near the 3rd meridian. It can't be casually used, but I received permission from the old ancestor to use it to get to the 3rd meridian. After Lu Wenren spoke, he rushed down. There was a mountain below. Lu Wenren entered a valley within the mountains according to the jade, and Wang Lin's group of 3 followed. A moment later, a burst of pressure spread out from the valley and a monstrous rumble echoed. A dazzling light erupted, lasting for half an hour before dissipating. There was no one inside the valley. At the extreme sky prairie several months away, the world distorted and clouds swirled. There was a dazzling glow of light as Wang Lin's group of 4 appeared one by one. When the light disappeared, Wang Lin turned toward the direction of the Great Soul sect, and his eyes revealed a serious gaze. This transfer array is very profound. Wang Lin was not surprised that the immortal astral continent had transfer arrays. The immortal astral continent was too large. If there were no transfer arrays, just the time spent on traveling would take far too long. I wonder if there are any transfer arrays between continents. Even if any exist, they would be extremely difficult to activate. The jade in Lu Wenren's hand shattered after he took it out. Although Wang Lin didn't know what was in the jade to be able to support activating a transfer array like this, he was certain that the Great Soul sect didn't have many of those. This was also why transfer arrays would only be used at a critical moment. This kind of consumption was something not even a sect could bear too much of. In truth, Wang Lin's speculation was accurate. The Great Soul sect indeed had these transfer arrays, but every activation cost unimaginable amounts of resources. Although the Great Soul sect have a lot of resources, even they couldn't afford to activate these transfer arrays more than 100 times in 10,000 years. When the 4 of them appeared, it was still dusk. The golden sun shined on the grass, giving the extreme sky prairie its own sense of beauty. This is the location of the 3rd meridian. The Great Soul sect set up an underground palace here. The cultivators from the nearby sects should be here, along with the rogue cultivators from here. After Lu Wenren spoke, he stepped forward and disappeared into the ground. Yin Lu and Su Dongda followed and disappeared. Wang Lin pondered a bit before he disappeared into the earth as well. The 4 of them quickly moved underground and soon saw a giant cave that was dug out deep underground. Rather than a cave, it was more like a large group of palaces. Outside this group of palaces, there were layers of restrictions protecting it. If it wasn't for the fact that they were elders of the Great Soul sect and had tokens to enter, it would be difficult to enter this place. There were nearly 10,000 cultivators in this large group of palaces. These were mostly cultivators from nearby sects or nearby rogue cultivators. After receiving the command from the Great Soul sect, they had rushed here. Wang Lin's group of 4 had just gotten close when a burst of hearty laughter came from the palaces. 3 rays of light closed in, revealing 3 old men, and they all clasped their hands. "Brother Lu, it has been 1,000 years since we last met. You finally came. Brother Zhou, after receiving the old ancestor's order, I rushed here as soon as possible. It's good that no Green Devil Continent cultivators have arrived." When Lu Wenren met the old man, he smiled and they began chatting. The other 2 elders clasped their hands at Yin Lu and Su Dongda. They seemed to have met and were very polite to them. The 3 old men only nodded at Wang Lin because his cultivation didn't seem worthy of attention in their eyes. Wang Lin's expression was calm. The 3 old men's cultivation levels were not bad. 2 of them were at the mid-stage of Arcane Void, and the old man named Zhou talking to Lu Wenren had a slightly higher cultivation level. He was at about 6 or 7 Arcane Tribulence, about the same as Du Qing. "You all have met Yin Lu and Elder Su. This is Elder Wang, who has just joined my Great Soul sect. He came to help us fight against the Green Devil Continent." Lu Wenren pointed at Wang Lin and introduced him to the 3. There was still a large amount of people from the other sects nearby. They all looked at Lu Wenren and company with respect. After hearing Lu Wenren's introduction, the 3 of them were all shocked and looked at Wang Lin. They had thought that Wang Lin was merely a disciple, but he turned out to be an elder. They all clasped their hands and smiled, acting very polite, but after this they ignored Wang Lin to continue talking to Yin Lu and company instead. The strong were respected in the cultivation world. Wang Lin's cultivation level was truly not high, so it was reasonable for the three of them to not pay attention to him. The others that saw this naturally made their own judgment. Wang Lin didn't care about this. He looked around and silently left to find an open cave to cultivate in. Lu Wenran sneered in his heart and his gaze swept by Wang Lin's back. For the sake of the Great Soul Sect, I stayed in the Pill Sea and changed my appearance to that of a rogue cultivator to attract the attention of the Green Devil continent. I stayed there for over 1,000 years. Also that the Green Devil continent wouldn't have any doubts and would invade the Heavenly Bull continent as the old ancestor had planned. I did all of this, but the old ancestor didn't give me the complete multi-layered illusion spell. What qualifications does he have to obtain it? Lu Wenran sneered in his heart. Wang Lin suddenly turned around and met his gaze. Lu Wenran's expression remained unchanged. He smiled gently and nodded at Wang Lin. Wang Lin looked at Lu Wenran profoundly. He then turned around and picked a cave before disappearing. Among Lu Wenran's group of three, Yen Lu understood Wang Lin the most. She could not forget how terrifying Wang Lin was. Along the way, she had noticed the hidden conflict between them. After everyone chatted, the three old men invited Lu Wenran and company into the Grand Hall, but they didn't mention Wang Lin at all. Obviously, in their eyes, Wang Lin wasn't qualified and could not be compared with Lu Wenran and company. The six of them went into the palace in the distance while smiling. Lu Wenran was the same, as if he had forgotten Wang Lin existed. After the six of them left, the surrounding people from the other sects scattered. After the people of the Great Soul Sect arrived, the formation around the Extreme Sky Prairie activated completely. When the formation activated, a thunderous rumble rang out. A barrier of energy hundreds of kilometers wide extended across the Extreme Sky Prairie and went even further. At the same time, the cultivators from the Great Soul Sect or the Guai Sect arrived at the remaining 6 Heavenly Bull Meridians. Their arrivals caused the formations around those meridians to active as well. As a result, when all 7 meridians were activated, the giant barrier spread out across the remaining 6 meridians as well. A total of 7 barriers appeared. They connected together to form a giant barrier that protected the Heavenly Bull continent from the Pill Sea. This barrier was created by more than 100,000 cultivators and was more than 100,000 kilometers thick. It was not something ordinary cultivators could enter. Even someone like old ancestor Green Bull would find it difficult to get through. It could be said that it would be nearly impossible. This was because aside from just the power of the formation itself, it also contained the power of the Heavenly Bull. These 7 Heavenly Bull Meridians were being activated fully for the first time since they were created, and they would play a vital role. Aside from these 7 Heavenly Bull Meridians, there were also 72 earth veins that were being guarded by people of the Great Soul Sect in smaller sections. Their 72 earth veins gathered endless energy and celestial energy to support the 7 Heavenly Bull Meridians. These were all for defense, but how could the Great Soul Sect prepare for so many years only to defend? There was another group of cultivators responsible for killing. There were countless caves around the palaces underground that were for the cultivators that had gathered to live in. An oppressive feeling spread out in the hearts of everyone. They knew a great war was about to begin. If the Green Devil continent cultivators wanted to break the barrier, then they would have to destroy the 7 meridians. To do so, they would send a large amount of cultivators to attack them. Soon, the calm sky of the Extreme Sky Prairie would be covered in cultivators from the Green Devil continent. Yen Lu also chose to enter closed-door cultivation to keep her cultivation at her peak. Su Dongda and Lu Wenran did the same, only they chose a palace rather than a cave. After all, their statuses were high and they were considered to be the main force guarding this place. In truth, there were 4 other people among the 10,000 cultivators that were at the early stage of Void Turbulent. Although they were from small sects or rogue cultivators, their statuses were high as well. They were invited into the palaces as the deciding force in this battle. Time passed as Wang Lin calmly sat inside his small cave. There were many caves around him, including an old man who didn't recognize Wang Lin after Wang Lin recovered, but Wang Lin recognized him. This old man was the one who had talked to Wang Lin in the Extreme Sky Prairie. He was obviously not at the Void Turbulent stage, so he couldn't enter the palaces. He could only choose one of the outer caves. In truth, with Wang Lin's identity, he could choose a palace if he really wanted to, But Wang Lin wasn't interested. Rather than being secretly talked about by others if he chose a palace, it would be better to be here and have peace. While sitting there, he slowly cultivated and his divine sense slowly spread out. Borrowing this time, he refined the blue umbrella and the soul fantasy origin to a more profound level. He also took out the compass restriction and scattered it across the prairie. This item was extremely mysterious. Even when he spread it out, not even Lu Wenran, who had the highest cultivation level here, noticed. Time flashed by. An unknown amount of days had passed. Aside from the sound of cultivation, there was no other sound among the palaces and the caves around them. Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes. The moment he opened them, the compass before him trembled. A green line suddenly appeared on the map of the extreme sky prairie. This green line was formed by countless green dots, and there were more and more green dots coming. Here they come. Staring at the compass, Wang Lin's eyes shined. He was going to complete the 3 conditions set by the Great Soul Sect. Then he would leave this place and head to Donglin, toward the ancient Dao clan. When Wang Lin noticed the arrival of the Green Devil Continent cultivators, Lu Wenran opened his eyes and revealed a cold gaze. Fellow cultivators, the cultivators of the Green Devil Continent has arrived. This voice echoed through the group of palaces. The aura of cultivating disappeared and all the cultivators here opened their eyes. The several void turbulent cultivators like Yen Lu and Su Dongda noticed something in killing intent spread out. There was a shocking howling sound over the extreme sky prairie. More than 10,000 cultivators flew above the prairie, covering up the originally sunny sky. Among the 10,000 cultivators, there were 6 people who were the fastest. Among the 6, there were 4 men and 2 women. They were dressed extravagantly and their cultivation levels were among the peak of the Green Devil Continent. The 2 old men who gave off mid-stage void turbulent cultivation were the 2 strongest cultivators in this army of more than 10,000 cultivators. The remaining 4 were all at the early stage of void turbulent. The 6 of them charged ahead and the rest of the army followed behind them, covering the sky of the extreme sky prairie. Killing instead spread out like a dark cloud covering Thea Rea. Brother Zhang, let the 2 of us join forces to see the power of the Heavenly Bull's 7 meridians. One of the mid-stage void turbulent old men looked at his companion with a smile. Brother Zhao's idea is good. I heard that this formation can form the soul of the Heavenly Bull. I want to see what this Heavenly Bull looks like. The old man named Zhang smiled and nodded. At their cultivation level, they had seen through a lot and wouldn't die so easily. In their view, this invasion was just a game. From a mentality point of view, they were much better than Lu Wenran, but there was still a big gap between them and the 7-colored celestial sovereign. Although their cultivation levels were similar, their courage and calmness were lacking. As they spoke, they both raised their right hands and formed seals before pointing at the prairie. The earth rumbled and layers of clouds appeared before them to form a 100,000 feet giant that charged forward. There was a dark light in the sky that seemed to tear it open, and 3 flying swords appeared. The moment the 3 swords appeared, black gas spread out. All the grass on the earth withered as if all their vitality were absorbed. The 3 swords charged forward with the giant. But just as the 3 swords and giant closed in, endless fog spread out from the extreme sky prairie. The dark fog shrouded most of the prairie and continued to spread. The muffled roar of a bull came from the fog. Soon, the large amount of fog formed the shape of the Heavenly Bull, and it let out a shocking roar toward the giant and the 3 swords. As the roar echoed, the Heavenly Bull suddenly exploded. The fog rapidly spread toward the Green Devil Continent cultivators. At the same time, deep underground, Lu Wenran had a serious expression and let out a roar. All void turbulent cultivators, follow me and slaughter our way out. In this fog formation, we have unlimited energy and can freely extract power from the fog. With this roar, 7 rays of light charged out with Lu Wenran, leading the charge. They disappeared into the fog. On the surface, fog completely shrouded the Green Devil Continent cultivators. Then the nearly 10,000 cultivators underground all flew out. A large battle had begun. Wang Lin was among that group of cultivators. He was calm and instantly merged into the fog. The fog would hinder the Green Continent cultivators by blocking their divine senses. However, for those of the Heavenly Bull Continent, the fog would enter their bodies and nourish them. Wang Lin, who had mixed in the 10,000 cultivator army, didn't attract too much attention. Only Yen Lu looked back at the 10,000 cultivator army, as if she was looking for Wang Lin. But there were too many cultivators, and this place was covered in fog, so she didn't find him. Inside this fog, the Green Devil Continent cultivators flew forward with the two mid-stage void turbulent old men leading the way. As they moved forward, the fog was pushed back as if they wouldn't dare to get close. Even on the immortal astral continent, mid-stage void turbulent cultivators were like overlords that could support a medium-level sect. Even inside sects like the 9 sects and 13 factions, they would be the elites among the elders. Cultivators that could reach the mid-stage of void turbulent were extremely difficult to kill. They simply had too many life-saving treasures and spells. The two mid-stage void turbulent old men from the Green Devil Continent were named Zhang and Zhao respectively. Both came from two different devil sects, and as they attacked, the world trembled. Lu Wenren charged out and began battling the old man named Zhang in the fog. Thunderous rumbles echoed and spread out in all directions. Their battle caused a powerful wind that swept out, making it impossible for other cultivators to get close. The other mid-stage void turbulent old man named Zhao stepped forward and was about to join the battle against Lu Wenren. In his view, as long as they seriously injured Lu Wenren, then the rest of the cultivators here would be nothing to worry about. But just as the old man named Zhao moved forward, Yen Lu, Su Dongda, and another early-stage void turbulent cultivator moved forward to block him. The three of them battled him together. If it was anywhere else, even if the three of them worked together, they wouldn't be a match for a mid-stage void turbulent cultivator. The difference in realms between void turbulent cultivators was great, like the difference between heaven and earth. Wang Lin with 7 essences could battle early-stage void turbulent cultivators, but even though he had 8 essences now, he still could only battle early-stage void turbulent cultivators and not shake mid-stage void turbulent cultivators. But inside the Heavenly Bull Meridian formation, as the fog entered their bodies, this changed. The three of them could just barely fight against the old man named Zhao. Although they couldn't win, they could stall him. With 4 people stalling the two of them, the two mid-stage void turbulent cultivators couldn't play their terrifying role in this battle. But there were still 4 early-stage void turbulent cultivators from the Green Devil Continent. These 4 people were 2 men and 2 women. They were dressed in expensive clothes and had extraordinary status. The 4 of them faced the same problem. There were still 3 void turbulent cultivators from the Heavenly Bull Continent that were like old ancestors. The 3 of them had almost unlimited energy inside the fog, and they began fighting the 4 from the Green Devil Continent. The void turbulent cultivators began the first battle of this war. After that came the slaughter of the 2 armies. This slaughter was very chaotic as 20,000 people were fighting against each other. Vision was blocked by the fog and miserable screams echoed. Wang Lin moved like a ghost inside the fog. His head was down, looking at a compass in his hand. The compass was covered in dense white and green dots that were constantly changing. The howling sounds continued to echo inside the fog. The flashes of spells were covered by the fog, but it could not cover the killing intent that erupted from within. Wang Lin suddenly raised his right hand and pointed to his right. With that, there was a flash of blood light and the blood sword flew out. A Green Devil Continent cultivator suddenly walked out from the fog. He didn't even have time to react before the blood sword pierced his head. Wang Lin's expression remained the same, and he continued moving forward. His targets were not these Green Devil Continent cultivators, but the void turbulent cultivators. Wang Lin quickly moved through the battle with a layer of black fog around him. This black fog was different from the formation. It was filled with ferociousness and there was a scarlet tongue swaying inside. After closing in on the 7 early-stage void turbulent cultivators battle, Wang Lin slowed down. In the end, he stopped tens of thousands of feet from their battle. He stood there and his eyes shined. It is very difficult to kill early-stage void turbulent cultivators. Such a cultivator is almost impossible to kill. Even with the EC puppet, it's not enough. Wang Lin was well aware of how difficult it was to kill a cultivator that had gone through the 9 arcane turbulence and entered the void turbulence stage. It was not the same as killing the cultivator named Xian, and the man and woman under the flags at the Pill Sea. Those 3 were only at the 9th arcane turbulent, and although it seems infinitely close to void turbulent, the gap was too large. The 2 of them could defeat White Tiger and company, and in a specific environment they could force them into a sorry state. After all, White Tiger and Company's cultivation levels were close to Du Qing's, around 7th or 8th arcane tribulent. In the cave world, only Old Ghost John and the 7-color Taoists were at the early stage of void tribulent. If they had fused with the third soul and became the new 7-colored celestial sovereign, they would have reached peak mid-stage void tribulent. With Wang Lin's current cultivation level, he could kill people below void tribulent. But to kill a real void tribulent cultivator would take some preparation. Even on the immortal astral continent, the death of a void tribulent cultivator was rare. When it happened, it greatly impacted the morale of a sect. Not to mention the death of a mid-stage void tribulent cultivator. Not even the Great Soul sect was willing to suffer this kind of blow. Looking at the fog churning before him, he watched the 7 of them engaged in a life-or-death battle. It was extremely difficult for victory to be decided. In fact, it was almost impossible. As long as each one of them remained cautious, they wouldn't die. They would be injured at most. But Wang Lin was not anxious. He simply sat down. The black fog around him fused with the fog, making him difficult to detect. In addition, with 7 void tribulent cultivators fighting, it was very dangerous to get close. Only Wang Lin could safely come here and wait for an opportunity. He was waiting for a chance to kill an early-stage void tribulent cultivator in one go. EC can deliver a heavy blow. The blood sword can injure. The war spirit print can prevent escape. The multi-layered illusion can create that moment. And the final blow will have to be soul origin fantasy. However, all of this can only seriously injure an early-stage void tribulent cultivator, not kill them. Wang Lin's eyes shined as he stared tens of thousands of feet into the distance. In a flash, several hours passed. The sound of slaughter didn't decrease but became even more intense. The death count on both sides was great. However, Wang Lin was still sitting there. He was waiting. Lu Ziwang was an elder of the Devil Dao sect and had just recently reached the early stage of void tribulent, so he was quite famous in the Devil Dao sect. He was also a descendant of the sect master of the Devil Dao sect, so there were bloodline connections. He had joined the invasion of the Heavenly Bull continent with another elder named Su Wei and 2 other fellow cultivators from the sect. They were currently battling 3 early-stage void tribulent cultivators from the Heavenly Bull continent. The other party seemed to have unlimited energy and used all kinds of spells. The 4 of them had their divine senses blocked by the fog and couldn't recover inside the fog. After several hours, they were showing signs of being pushed back. The chaotic battle between the 7 of them continued and thunderous rumble echoed. Lu Ziwang had just reached the void tribulent stage, so he was starting to run out of celestial energy. The fog around him also absorbed a large amounts of his celestial energy. Damn fog! When will the messengers arrive? If this continues, then this war will be difficult to win. Lu Zun's expression was gloomy. His hand formed a seal to form a black lotus that collided with a black dragon created by an early-stage void tribulent cultivator from the Heavenly Bull continent. Between the rumbles, Lu Zun retreated without hesitation. He didn't need to speak, as his 3 companions knew his purpose. They quickly blocked the remaining attacks to give him a chance to consume some pills. After several hours of battle, it was inevitable that the 4 of them would need to recover celestial energy, or it would be difficult to continue. Lu Zion's expression was extremely cruel. He cultivated a yin and yang double cultivation method that condensed the souls of female cultivation furnaces into a black lotus. Countless cultivation furnaces had died by his hand. In a flash, he retreated tens of thousands of feet. He waved his right hand and more than a dozen balls of light appeared before him. Inside each ball of light was a naked woman 3 inches tall. They all looked miserable. Lu Zion didn't even look as he opened his mouth to inhale. However, just at this moment, not far from him, Wang Lin, who had been hiding, suddenly opened his eyes and revealed a cold gaze. He had waited for this opportunity for a long time, and someone had finally given him the chance. He is the one. Wang Lin's eyes revealed killing intent. The first promise he had made to the Great Soul sect was to kill 10 early-stage void tribulent cultivators. Today he would kill the first one. As Wang Lin moved forward like lightning, a ray of blood light appeared in his hand. The blood light cut down on Lu Zun, who had his back toward Wang Lin. The blood sword's sharpness was unparalleled, and as it closed in, Lu Zun was about to devour the dozen light balls. However, He suddenly felt a sense of danger and didn't hesitate to give up devouring the light balls. He waved his sleeve and a black lotus appeared behind him. The black lotus collided with the blood sword. Thunderous rumbles echoed as Lu Xian suddenly turned around. His eyes were filled with killing intent. "I want to see who dares to sneak attack me." However, just as he turned around, Wang Lin attacked. A roar filled with ferociousness came out of the fog around Wang Lin. EC, who had lost an arm, charged out like crazy toward Lu Xian. All of this happened as fast as lightning. Several thousand feet only took a moment for EC to cross. The moment Lu Xian turned around, EC arrived. Lu Xian's expression changed. He clearly felt the fluctuations of an early-stage void turbulent cultivator in the black fog. His eyes revealed a look of terror. He naturally knew that this was a puppet. Without hesitation, he retreated and waved his sleeve. 7 black lotuses appeared before him and collided with EC. The thunderous rumbles attracted the attention of the 6 people battling in the distance. The expressions of Lu Xian's 3 companions changed and they wanted to head over. However, they were stopped by the 3 cultivators from the Heavenly Bull continent. Due to the fog, they couldn't see what was happening, but they knew it was to their advantage. 7 black lotus flowers collapsed. EC let out a roar and its body was covered in wounds. However, its tongue penetrated the 7 black lotus flowers and landed on the Lu Xian's chest. Fresh blood erupted. Lu Xian felt pain from his chest, but he didn't have time to check. He didn't have much celestial energy left, and the fog was absorbing celestial energy from him. He had also created 7 lotus at that moment of danger, so he was almost completely exhausted. As he retreated, he waved his right hand and a ball of light appeared. He was about to devour it. Wang Lin suddenly raised his right hand and a white sail appeared in his grasp. As he waved his hand, waves of cries echoed and entered the mind of the injured Lu Xian. Suddenly, the image of a woman in white appeared in his mind. Her back was facing him and she was crying. The moment the figure appeared, Lu Xian's right hand holding the ball of light paused for a moment. The moment he paused, Wang Lin closed in and his hand formed a palm toward the sky. The fog rumbled and a giant palm print appeared, descending toward Lu Xian. At the same time, behind Lu Xian there was a flash of fire. A fire palm print burned its way out of the fog and charged at him. All of this happened extremely fast. Wang Lin had planned this out in his mind several times. As the palm print closed in and Lu Xian's mind was distracted by the cry, EC let out a roar as it charged back toward Lu Xian. The blood sword also flew back and cut down toward Lu Xian. All of the spells closed in, taking advantage of the fact that Lu Xian was almost out of celestial energy. However, early-stage void turbulent cultivators were difficult to kill. Although Wang Lin's timing was very good, Lu Xian's pupils shrank at this moment. He didn't hesitate to bite the tip of his tongue to spit out blood. This blood immediately covered his whole body. Even his hair became blood-colored. His skin was also the same, and in a flash he turned into a blood person. His arms hugged himself, and as the spells closed in, he suddenly opened his arms. Blood armor formation. As Lu Xian's words echoed, the blood from his body dried up and turned into a suit of armor. At the same time, the blood armor on his body exploded into a blood storm. The moment the huge palm print touched the blood storm, it collapsed. The fire palm print behind him also collapsed when it collided with the blood storm. The blood sword flashed out and cut into the blood storm. The EC puppet also charged into the blood storm with a mad howl. All of this set off a heaven-shattering rumble. The moment the rumble began, Wang Lin stepped forward into the bloodstorm. This bloodstorm was obviously Lu Xian's life-saving treasure. Now that it had resisted Wang Lin's various spells, it showed signs of collapse. Inside, Lu Xian coughed out blood and his expression was fierce, but he retreated like crazy. As he retreated, his gaze was locked onto Wang Lin, but Wang Lin suddenly disappeared. His pupils shrank as he turned around and his right hand swung behind him. Wang Lin's figure walked out from behind him and threw a punch. This punch didn't have the ancient Dao shadow, but it was an ancient Dao punch. With a bang, Lu Xian's right hand exploded into blood, and he was knocked away. Blood flowed out from the corner of Wang Lin's mouth, but he didn't pause. He chased after Lu Xian. Thunderous rumbles echoed. Wang Lin quickly followed and threw 19 punches. Lu Xian's eyes were filled with fear. Wang Lin's pursuit was too fierce. and he didn't give him any chance to react. The punches caused him to be covered in blood, and he looked terrible now. This isn't enough to kill me. Lu Xian understood that he was facing was a rare life or death crisis. The other party's timing was very good. It was obvious he had prepared for a long time. As he retreated, he took one of Wang Lin's punches and waved his left hand, taking out a black bell. This was the first time Lu Xian had time to take out a treasure in his battle against Wang Lin, and it was his most powerful treasure. The moment the bell appeared, it began to release a crisp sound. As the ringing from the bell echoed, countless shadows of women appeared before Lu Ziyuan. They were naked, miserable, and filled with resentment. There were hundreds of thousands of them. As they spread out, they overlapped and their resentment fused together. This formed a powerful resentful aura that all the cultivators battling on the extreme sky prairie noticed. The battle between the 6 early-stage void turbulent cultivators became even more intense. The moment they felt this, their divine senses spread out, but the fog limited them. However, the 3 people from Green Devil Continent were very familiar with Lu Xian's spells and treasures. At this moment, when they sensed the resentful souls, their expressions changed. They knew Lu Xian was facing a life and death crisis, or else he would never take out that treasure. The mid-stage void turbulent old man who was battling Yan Lu's group of 3, and the old man named Zhang battling Lu Wenran felt this. However, their divine senses were blocked by the fog, so they couldn't see. Lu Wenran's eyes lit up and his divine sense spread out. However, there was an invisible barrier around where Lu Xian was battling, causing him to be unable to see who was battling Lu Ziyuan. Yan Lu and company experienced the same thing. The moment the resentful souls rushed out, Wang Lin's pupils shrank. He had prepared very well. Right now, he had only showed part of his hand and hadn't used the 2 real aces yet. At this moment he pointed at the sky. A gourd suddenly appeared in his hand. It contained 30 million Dao souls, and if it exploded it could threaten a mid-stage void turbulent cultivator, but he didn't command it to explode. He coughed out blood that quickly disappeared into the gourd. Then the roars of 30 million Dao souls echoed. The 30 million Dao souls flew out and formed a blood road behind Wang Lin. Use my essence blood to summon the Great Soul Sect's ancestor. Break the void. Soul Fantasy Origin. Wang Lin's voice was calm but contained a strange force. At the end of the blood road, there was a huge vortex that seemed to fuse with the surrounding fog. As Wang Lin spoke, a blood figure slowly walked out from the vortex. Every step it took could cause the world to rumble. The monstrous resentment summoned by Lu Xian's treasure showed signs of collapse when the blood figure appeared. Lu Xian's expression changed and he pointed at the sky. The resentment immediately condensed to turn into the figure of a giant woman. Her body was composed of more than 100,000 resentful souls. All of their faces could be seen on her. The moment the figure formed, it opened its mouth and attempted to devour Wang Lin. At this moment, the figure of the 9th ancestor of the Great Soul Sect, Luo Yunhai, also walked out from the blood vortex. He raised his hand and monstrous killing intent appeared to form a red lance. He grabbed the lance and threw it. The lance collided with the figure formed by countless resentful souls. The moment they collided, the lance released a commanding light as if it was purifying them. The huge figure immediately collapsed and the resentful souls inside hissed. Thunderous rumbles echoed. Wang Lin's body trembled and he coughed out blood. He retreated more than 1,000 feet as the blood road behind him collapsed and the 9th ancestor disappeared. At the same time, the giant figure collapsed and blood erupted from Lu Xian. He screamed and retreated. The collapsed shadow turned into countless resentful souls, and they seemed to be causing backlash on him. They drilled in and out of his body, causing Lu Xian's screams to become even more miserable. However, he was not dead, only seriously injured. Now he no longer cared about the war and was escaping quickly. God Tremble Army Formation. Demon Spell, Wind and Fire Mountain. Devil Dao Life and Death Reverse. God Demon Devil, Ancient Dao No Celestials. Lu Xian's body suddenly collapsed 1,000 feet away from Wang Lin under his fist and fell to the ground. His origin soul distorted and shattered before Wang Lin's most powerful attack. Only his head was pulled back by a powerful force and grabbed by Wang Lin. After putting it away, Wang Lin disappeared. The moment Wang Lin disappeared, the entire battleground became silent. Lu Xian's miserable scream before death echoed across the prairie. The old man named Zhang trembled and completely disregarded Lu Wenran as he retreated. Lu Wenrong's eyes narrowed as he heard the miserable scream before Lu Xian died. A void turbulent cultivator has died? Li Zuan. The old man named Zhang quickly retreated and arrived at the place Lu Xian had died. He saw the flesh and blood here, and his pupils shrank. He knew of the relationship between Lu Xian and the Devil Dao sect master. This made his heart tremble. The old man named Zhao that was battling Yen Lu and company retreated without hesitation as well. While Yen Lu and company were shaken by the miserable screams, he arrived at the palsy where Lu Xian had died. Lu Xian died? The 3 early-stage void turbulent cultivators from the Green Devil continent quickly retreated. Their faces were pale and their eyes were filled with disbelief. Everyone else who heard Lu Xian's miserable scream before death all felt their hearts tremble, and their eyes were filled with fear. A void turbulent cultivator has died. That voice sounded like Elder Lu. A void turbulent cultivator has died. An uproar echoed. Void turbulent cultivators rarely died. Retreat. The old man named Zhang revealed a cold gaze. His divine sense spread out and then he quickly left. The people beside him followed. Lu Wenran didn't chase. He looked at the other retreating figures and pondered. The person who died must have had an extraordinary identity. But who killed him? Su Dongda's gaze swept by and frowned. He didn't know who had killed the enemy void turbulent cultivator, but he was shocked. To kill a void turbulent cultivator in such a short period of time. Who is this person? Only Yen Lu's pupil shrank. She vaguely saw some clues, and her right hand trembled in her sleeves. It's him. As the void turbulent cultivators retreated, the remaining thousands of Green Devil continent cultivators all retreated with fear in their eyes. Return to the underground palace and form a tight defense. The enemy will definitely launch a second attack. We only need to stay in the fog and defend. Don't chase them out of the fog. Lu Wenran waved his sleeve and looked around. Who would it be? He stepped forward as he pondered and fused with the earth. Shortly after, all the Heavenly Bull continent cultivators entered the earth after this sudden change and disappeared into the earth. Nearly 10,000 cultivators had left the underground below the prairie, but less than 4,000 people returned. These 4,000 people silently returned to their caves to prepare for the next battle. Wang Lin also returned with these thousands of cultivators. His face was pale. Although his battle against Lu Xian was short, it was extremely difficult. He had calculated everything, including when to attack, the other party's reaction, taking advantage of when the other party's celestial energy was exhausted, and had the help of the fog formation. Only with all these conditions was he able to kill Lu Ziyuang. Even so, he was also injured. Waves of intense pain came from his chest, and he had to heal as soon as possible. This is the first void turbulent cultivator I have killed. Void turbulent cultivators are too difficult to kill. Wang Lin silently pondered. If not for the Heavenly Bull formation here, he won't have been able to kill him. No one else noticed that he had killed Lu Xian. Wang Lin had expected this. In fact, when he attacked, he shrank the restriction to around them to prevent Lu Xian from escaping. With the restriction, even if other people's divine senses had swept by, they wouldn't have been able to get a clear look. Even though he had used Soul Origin Fantasy to summon the Great Soul Sect's 9th ancestor, noticing the spell from outside the restriction was very unlikely. After all, Wang Lin had too many secrets and methods he didn't want others to know. It was natural to set up the restriction so others couldn't see everything too clearly. At this moment, every single cultivator underground was speculating who it was that had killed an enemy void turbulent cultivator. Lu Wenran, Yen Lu, and the remaining 4 void turbulent cultivators were inside the palace along with the 3 old men who had underestimated Wang Lin before. The 3 old men's expressions were full of shock. They felt obvious disbelief that someone had been able to kill a void turbulent cultivator. If Lu Wenran did it, then it would have been acceptable. Even if it was one of the other void turbulent cultivators, it would have still been fine. However, it was obvious that the person who had killed the Green Devil Continent Void Turbulent Cultivator was not among them, so who was it? I didn't get a clear look. During the battle, The cultivator named Lu retreated to devour some pills, and then the sounds of battle echoed. I tried to check it with my divine sense, but there was a restriction there. Once my divine sense entered, it was a blur and I couldn't see clearly. I tried to observe it with my divine sense and also found nothing. Those 3 void turbulent cultivators from the nearby sects all slowly spoke with doubt and fear in their eyes. Doubts about who had killed the enemy and fear for how much power was required to kill a void turbulent cultivator that could be considered impossible to kill. A cultivator that had passed through 9 arcane turbulence and entered void turbulent was said to be indestructible and undying. Undying because their lifespan was as long as the world itself. Indestructible because they were extremely difficult to kill. Who was it? One of the 3 old men who hadn't reached void turbulent and looked down upon Wang Lin muttered, "It looks like there is an expert hidden among the cultivators out here." Lu Wenran's gaze swept through the crowd. He didn't believe any of these people here could kill a cultivator at the same level in a short period of time. As his gaze swept by, he suddenly thought about a person, and his pupils shrank. However, he soon gave up on such an absurd thought. It can't be him, he can't do it. Lu Wenran thought about Wang Lin. It's fine. Since this person isn't willing to show up, then there is no need for us to look. It's good for us, and maybe this person will show up soon. Lu Wenran's expression changed. Su Dongda frowned and suddenly said, "Could it be that the person who attacked is not here and was merely passing by?" The moment he said this, everyone suddenly began to ponder. Lu Wenran carefully thought about this and thought it was possible. After all, he didn't believe anyone else here could have done it beside himself. The same scene was taking place outside the fog around the extreme sky prairie. Thousands of Green Devil Continent cultivators were silently cultivating, and at the center of the group were the 2 mid-stage void turbulent cultivators launching an inquiry about Lu Xuan's death. It is not the first time a void turbulent cultivator has died in our battle against the Heavenly Bull Continent. However, this is the first time that have we watched one die without even knowing who did it. The old man named Zhang's expression was gloomy and angry, but it also contained fear. He didn't know how angry the Devil Dao sect master, who had his divine sense sealed and had been in closed-door cultivation for many years, would feel once he learned of this. Elder Lu's identity. Some of the void turbulent cultivators on Lu Xuan's side whispered but didn't finish speaking. The old man named Zhao let out a sigh and slowly said, "Identity aside, all of you carefully think if there was something wrong. How could such a thing happen in such a short period of time?" Elder Lu retreated to devour some pills. We were blocked by the fog so we couldn't see anything. However, the sounds of battle began shortly after, and in less than 1 incense stick of time, the fight was over. My divine sense was unable to enter, as there was a layer of restriction blocking the area. However, I sensed Elder Lu take out his treasure and summon the countless resentful souls. They all began to recount what they remembered. "Elder Zhao, I have made a discovery," a woman who had not talked suddenly said. The woman was among the 4 that had fought together with Lu Xuan. She looked hesitant, and when the old man named Zhao looked over, she clenched her teeth. What prevented us from using our divine senses, aside from the fog, was another restriction. That restriction should be the Devil Restriction Sect's Devil Isolation Restriction. I have come in contact with this restriction before, so I shouldn't be wrong. After she spoke, everyone became quiet. Everyone's gazes locked onto the old man named Zhao. The old man named Zhao was someone from the Devil Restriction Sect, which was one of the 3 major sects of the Green Devil Continent. The eyes of the old man named Zhao lit up and he slowly said, "I'm not good with the Devil Isolation Restriction and am not familiar with it, so I didn't notice. But since you brought it up, I just remembered something. During the tragedy of the Pill Sea, after my Devil Restriction Sect's investigation, along with reports from spies, the person behind it was a great soul sect elder named Wang Lin. And in the Pill Sea, an isolation restriction compass went missing. According to the central restriction, that compass was not destroyed." As the old man named Zhao spoke, he looked toward the depths of the extreme sky prairie. If that's the case, it is likely that he is the one who killed Elder Lu. Even if he didn't, there must be some connections. Wang Lin. Killing intent appeared in the eyes of the old man named Zhang. He had to kill this person, or he wouldn't be able to withstand the anger of the sect master. The moon hung above the extreme sky prairie and their stars were thin. The bright moonlight shined on the earth, causing the prairie to be enveloped in a silver light. It looked very beautiful from afar. There was an unspeakable sense of peace and nothing to indicate that a great battle between tens of thousands of cultivators had taken place here during the day. There were no corpses remaining on the earth. The bodies and souls of the dead cultivators had been devoured completely by the fog. It looked no different from before. Only the trace of a bloody aura showed how devastating the battle was. The moonlight could shine on the earth but was unable to penetrate the underground palace. Wang Lin was sitting inside a cave that was dark without any light. Even Wang Lin's figure seemed to have become one with the darkness. Wang Lin had paid a big price to kill Lu Xuan, from calculating everything before the battle to the final blow. Right now, his face was pale and he was cultivating with his eyes closed. After an unknown amount of time, Wang Lin slowly opened his eyes, and they lit up. It was as if there were two balls of fire in his eyes lighting up the cave. Wang Lin now had a profound understanding of the danger of killing a void turbulent cultivator, just like how others found it difficult to kill him. Lu Xuan had many other spells and treasures that he never got to use. Wang Lin's timing was just too vicious. Otherwise, the result could have been different. 10 early stage void turbulent, 3 mid stage void turbulent. The task old ancestor Green Bull has given me is quite difficult, Wang Lin silently pondered. In fact, when he had agreed to the 3 conditions, he already understood the challenge. The reason he had agreed was because Wang Lin was unwilling to owe them for the 3 gifts. Just the gift of the water essence was the same as giving him a whole new essence. If he had relied on himself to comprehend and gather the essence, it would have simply been too difficult, as shown with Wang Lin's fire and thunder essences. Therefore, the weight of the gifts made it impossible for him to refuse. As for the space stone, although it looked normal, Wang Lin had a vague feeling that it was not as simple as it was on the surface. It had a lot of space inside and was very mysterious. There was also the final gift, the one use of divination. It would help Wang Lin greatly in a crisis and could even reverse the entire situation. These 3 gifts were heavy, and since Wang Lin had accepted then he had to repay the sect. There are still 9 more early-stage void turbulent cultivators to go. If I can kill one, then I can certainly kill 9 more. The most important thing is killing the 3 mid-stage void turbulent cultivators. Even if I explode the 30 million Dao soul, it can only kill 1. As for the remaining 2, Wang Lin frowned, but he didn't back down. There was a flash-cold light in his eyes. Old ancestor Green Bull gave me these 3 conditions thinking I won't be able to complete them in a short period of time. He thinks it will take a long time. However, I don't want to get too involved in the matter between the Heavenly Bull continent and the Green Devil continent. I must complete the 3 conditions as soon as possible and cut my connection with the Great Soul sect, then leave this place. Wang Lin looked down at this body that has fused with the darkness in the cave. Just at this moment, Wang Lin suddenly raised his head and looked outside the cave. His gaze seemed to penetrate the cave and look outside. At this moment, the underground palaces were silent and only the sounds of breathing could be heard. There were some light from the moonstones that were placed here. In the dim light, a woman's silhouette arrived from the distance like smoke and stood outside Wang Lin's cave. She looked at Wang Lin's cave hesitantly. After silently pondering for a long time, she was about to speak when Wang Lin's calm voice came from the cave. Fellow cultivator Yen Lu has come to visit me in the depths of the night. Why hesitate outside? Please come in. As Wang Lin's words scattered, the door to the cave silently opened, revealing a gap. The gap was completely dark, and it was impossible to see anything inside. From Yen Lu's location, the gap in the door was a mouth that would devour one's heart, waiting for her to enter. After pondering a bit more, Yen Lu clenched her teeth. She had doubts in her heart, and if it didn't get cleared up, she wouldn't be able to calm her heart down. She turned into smoke and entered through the gap in the door. The moment she entered, the door to the cave closed, leaving not a sliver of an opening. When the door of the cave closed, Yen Lu immediately stopped moving. She looked ahead. Unless one had used their cultivation on their eyes, it would still be dark in here. She could vaguely see Wang Lin's figure sitting in the distance, and it gave her a lot of pressure. The root of this pressure came from the 2 bets she had made in the Soul Scripture Pavilion. Looking ahead, Yen Lu noticed a hint of killing intent. This killing intent was very light and not targeted at her. This was a natural aura released because the other person present had just returned after killing. Only cultivators could faintly notice this aura. Yanlu didn't know why, but the moment she felt the killing intent, the figure of Lu Xian appeared in her mind. His death and various things played in her eyes like a fantasy. She seemed to have seen Wang Lin kill Lu Xian in a short period of time. Fellow cultivator Yanlu, it is late into the night and you're just standing in my cave not saying a word. Do you plan on standing there all night? Wang Lin said in a calm voice. Yanlu pondered a bit and then her voice slowly echoed inside the cave. Did you kill the early-stage void turbulent cultivator from the Green Devil continent? It must have been you. In this cave palace, aside from Elder Lu Wanran, no one else could have done it in such a short period of time. If there is anyone, it must be you. Other doesn't know how powerful you are, but I'm well aware, Yanlu said softly as she looked at Wang Lin, who was hiding in the shadows. Wang Lin, was it you? Wang Lin pondered a bit and calmly replied, no comment. There wasn't the slightest fluctuation, as if everything was normal. After hearing what Wang Lin said, Yanlu smiled. She moved the few strands of her hand behind her ears with her jade-like hand. She looked at Wang Lin and spoke softly. I don't know why you won't admit it. Your aura is unstable and you obviously paid the price. After all, a void turbulent cultivator won't die so easily. If you need help, I can provide it. The premise is that once we kill a void turbulent cultivator, we split the benefits in half. Sorry to disturb you, I hope Elder Wang doesn't mind. This is my show of sincerity and goodwill. This was the real reason Yanlu had come. She took out a pill and placed it on the ground before bowing to Wang Lin. A gentle gust of wind blew by the entrance of the cave and she disappeared. In the end, Wang Lin's response to Yanlu's constant questions contained only two simple words to. After Yanlu left, Wang Lin opened his eyes and two fire-like lights shined in the dark cave. He looked at the door to the cave at Yanlu's back and he pondered. He waved his right hand and the pill flew toward him. He carefully examined the pill. This pill gave off bursts of fragrance. It was clearly an extraordinary pill used for healing. Wang Lin slowly revealed a smile. Time slowly passed. Soon 2 days went by. The Green Devil continent cultivators at the edge of the extreme sky prairie were very quiet and didn't start a second battle. They seemed to be waiting for something and continued to send dozens of people to observe the prairie.